Hi everyone, good
Hello,
evening.
hola, hola, hola.
Hi. So magandang gabi. It's another. Oh my God, it's another Monday. I was gonna say
I
Friday. I don't know why.
know. Why?
I don't know. Days just seem to like meld into each other here. So, hi Sir Will, nice to see
Hi,
you.
Sir
Thank you
Will. You're
for
early
being
again. Thank
here.
you.
Correct. Ang aga niya nga talaga, no? And also, I see some other people in the chat. MX Bury
Hi,
says, so excited for
McFlurry.
this.
Thank you.
Oh, MX Bury is here for Chambi. So,
Yes, go sa
yay!
Chambings. Hello sa Chambings. Shout out.
Chambings talaga, nice.
Yes, Chambings.
And another illustrator and
Digital
creator is
artist, creators,
Alan.
Alan. Hey.
Hi, and he says, muntikan ko na malimutan na today na ito. Don't worry, medyo nakalimutan ko rin kasi alam mo yan, like brain cells, I'm hanging on to my last one.
I
Hi,
understand so
Jakey!
well. Hola.
Hola! Hi! And wow, oh, Chambing Nation, put your hands up!
Yes.
Kalahin mo yon. Hello. All right. So, for those of you who don't know us, maybe this is your first time here, we'd like to say hi to all of you. We are Brewa Hobby Squad, and basically we're just a group of people who have a love for BLs. And we initially started talking about BLs. Now we started doing reviews and such, but then we sort of like branched out and started talking about other things like other series and also issues concerning the LGBT community. So that's why we have something like this, which is Speak Room, where we talk about issues affecting the community. And if you are joining us once again, thank you for being here and spending your Monday night with us. Hi, Jem. Salamat, salamat,
Hi,
salamat.
Jem. And hi, Mahal.
Yes. sana sana all nasa chat yung mahal. Char. Ayan. So, um, let's go. Oh, sige. Matthew Nava says, guwapo ng host. Oh, all right.
Mhm.
Thank you. Talagang inangkin
Thank
ko
you.
eh. Thank you. Salamat ha.
Thank you. Sige.
Sige, aangkinin ko na yan. Huwag mo nang babawiin.
Go ahead. It's all yours.
Pero Lance, kumusta? What are we talking about tonight? Can you give us like a preview? Char.
Yeah, because we talked about last week on history, and we talked about what was the queer content before for the Philippines. We've went from the Babaylan history to terms like mente fuwale. We also heard about si maglilitong yawa. Then we move forward with Dolphy Films, the epocha
Mm-hmm,
of also Roderick Paulate, and fast forward. We also went through Lino Broca, what else did we
yeah.
go through? So we went a lot, and we currently
Grabe ang
stopped at
dami.
2010, wherein we talked about Mamu and other representations like Metamorphosis, and now we're in the current period. So we're going to talk about what is the current state of our queer content or queer media for the Philippines with our panel of judges or guests pala. Sorry, naging judges yung
Channel of
utak ko
Jolly.
kasi I just recently watched Drag Race. So sorry naman.
Ah,
na,
okay.
nasa utak ko yung judges. Ayun.
Uy, okay lang talaga yan. Minsan yung mga neural pathways natin, nagkakabuhol-buhol na talaga.
I
So,
know.
another Chambi hose.
Ang
Interest.
dami. So
So,
may Chambi Nation and Chambi host. Okay.
ang, da- ang daming variation, no? Ang daming variants na nagaganap. And Alan as well, yun mahal na lang na meron ako is yung 30 pesos na chips at tindahan. All right, sige. So, we are talking to three people today. So, si Lance na lang siguro mag introduce and then once he mentions the name, then I'm gonna go ahead and pull that person up. So, first one, sinong gusto mong iakyat? Lance.
Yeah, let's start with a really good friend, a writer for Boys Lockdown, Romance Class, and also hopefully we could hear something from Love Team, but I don't expect
Mhm.
anything. Her lips are sealed, so please welcome Denise Season.
Yay! Thank you very much for being
Hi
here,
guys.
Denise.
Hello.
Good evening everyone watching tonight. I am Denise, May P. Season, the creator and screenwriter of Boys Lockdown. And the upcoming
Yes.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you very much for accepting our invitation. I
Thanks
appreciate
for
it.
having me.
Yes. And who's next, Lance?
And who's next is his show is currently being aired on YouTube with Ride or Die Initiative. It's stuck on you. He has done quarantines. He's been with Adover Magazine. Please welcome Direk Pancho Manakis.
Yes!
Hi, Direk.
Dover Studios, not Adover Magazine.
Ay, sorry naman. Sorry, please.
May Adobo magazine kasi.
May Adover Magazine kasi my brain is fried right now because of month end. So bear with me,
Super
please.
Actually,
And I feel like there's still Mercury retrograde spillover.
right.
So
I know there is. I know, I
That
feel
is
you,
so
Direk.
true. Absolutely. Hi daw direct from Lionheart. Ayan. And also from MX Bury. Ayan. All right. So thank you for being here again, Direk. Salamat.
Salamat.
Who's next,
And-
Lance?
And the last, I think people are clamoring from the Chambi host to the Chambi Nation. His artwork is known and has been placed in PenLab. It started with a comic strip called Ang Jowa Kong Crosswise. Please welcome Chambolero.
Yes. Hello. Welcome.
Bye.
Ayan.
Hey.
Everyone. Hi. Thank you for having me here.
Well, thank you for being here. And according to him, this is his first sort of like interview.
Yes.
Interview. So we're really happy for that. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
By the way, Direk, I'm seeing double of you. There's one in the middle too. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yes.
Ayan. So Brian says hello, Chambi.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
A lot of fans. Why?
Get 'em
I
all.
know.
Hello,
Yeah.
guys. Hi, Isa.
Chambi,
Hi, Reinhard. Hi, Miss
Marking,
Lee.
Chambi squared away. Oh, Idea Second is here. Hi. Hello.
Hey.
Ayan. All right. Sige. So we're gonna go ahead and get started, and I'm gonna let Lance take the floor.
Yeah, I think let's just start. Like, how are you guys doing currently?
Mhm.
Especially with the Mercury retrograde spillover, with what's going on with the society, with the BL. Parang there's a little dip on the BL, and I'm
Mhm.
grateful that we had stuck on you now to heighten that dip. So how are you all? Let's
Yes.
start with Denise. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. As Kika Lung said in episode 1, best out of the situation is still bad, but we're hanging on here, and every day there's still things that give us joy and make us happy. So that's worth mentioning and acknowledging that if we're still in a bad situation, there's still so, and parang invites like this is just one of them. So thank you again for having me.
Oy,
Yeah, thank you for accepting too.
Super appreciate it. Shoutout nga pala sa natin, mga poppers natin dyan.
Uh-oh.
Are they yours, Denise?
Which one?
The
That's mine.
puppies that's yours? Okay.
They're, and I mean, mine in a way that they're in the background. They're far over there.
Well, hi to them.
Yes, and
Ayan.
next naman, Direk, how are you? Because I read something on your tweet. I hope you are okay. I hope you're feeling
hope you're
better.
better. Yeah.
I am frazzled, but I am not pressed. I have to stay calm, as Reb would say naman, di ba? Look for the silver lining na lang muna tayo. I mean, times are tough now, but it's not just me. All of us are going through stuff. So, gotta look for that silver lining at all times muna.
Super agree.
Yes,
Especially
yes,
ngayon,
yes.
diba? Parang sometimes it's so hard to look for something to appreciate or something to be grateful for. But then, kailangan talaga, sometimes you have to dig deep. Or sometimes you just have to be around people so that maybe they can reflect that good energy to you.
Exactly.
Thank you. And Chambi
Thank
naman
you.
siguro.
What was the question again?
How are you?
How are you?
Basic question. How are you doing after the 95K and Pen Lab and all the other stuff? Kasi ang bilis nung angat. I mean, you suddenly popped out of the blue na you're on Pen Lab. Parang sunod-sunod nagabagsakan sa'yo. And I love it. Or good for you.
Like, grabe yung trajectory. I really wasn't expecting it to be like, for all of it to come like this fast. So I'm just like pretty thankful kasi like within like wala pang 2 months sa Pen Lab and it's almost 100K. So like, oh my gosh. I have no words, honestly, I have no words. So, yeah. Salamat sa lahat ng nagbabasa at sumusuporta sa us.
And it's a really nice ano, diba? Parang development, I would say. Kasi I think you just started really posting ang Jawa kung Crosswise in December 2020, diba? So
Yeah.
it's been a few months relatively, but then you know
Yeah,
it's following already. So that's
I
pretty.
know. Still blows my mind. I can't believe it.
We'll talk
Ayun.
more.
Yeah.
We'll talk more about that mamaya-maya. Ayan.
Yes.
So siguro we move to ayan, 'di ba? So may mga sections talaga kami, guys.
Oo. Inspiration or inspiration.
Inspiration. Ano naman to,
Yeah.
Lance?
Yeah, because I just wanted to know what's the spark to your stories or the stories that you've been weaving, writing, and sharing. Like, I know for Chambi, I remember it started as a joke, like when they were saying na kapag manananggal, nahati crosswise, or no, nahati lengthwise, or yung the other one,
One half,
or
one fourth.
horizontally, o mga one fourth, one half. Then suddenly, sabi mo, why not crosswise? And I think that's where it started. And what was your
Something like that.
inspiration and draw to write that kind, or to create si Tomas and si Leo? And you also added Sammy and Angie into the mix as well. And the baby
Yeah.
Sigbin.
Yeah. Actually, ayun nga, like it started out like as kind of a joke lang din. Pero like sa totoo lang, the story of Tomas and Leo has like gone through so many iterations na over the past how many years because ang jowa kong Crosswise is kind of like semi-autobiographical. So like save for the
Ooh.
part na like may jowang manananggal or whatever, like except for
Right.
those parts, the supernatural parts, like most of the stuff that I write are actually like based on like real experiences and like ayun. So yun yung inspiration ko for that, primary inspiration ko. And also like yun din, I have this like fascination talaga with our local mythology and folklore kasi like sobrang hindi siya masyado nabibigyan pansin nowadays. Like iba na syempre ngayon, like as we speak right now, sobrang iba na siya, and I think we're gonna talk about that later. But like before, like a few months ago, like before Trece and all that stuff blew up, like
Yeah.
it was kind of like underrepresented pa. So you know, I combined that with my real life experiences, and that's basically how ang jowa kong Crosswise came to be. So ayun.
I'm curious though. So you mentioned that growing up you were an artist and an avid comic book geek. So
Yeah.
were there comic books that you were consuming, which are your favorites, or which inspired you?
I'm a big fan of DC Comics. So I grew up reading Superman, Batman, and like if familiar kayo kay ano Lineal Francis Yu, like sobrang idol ko siya. He's a Filipino comic book artist.
Okay.
He's actually the one who created si Wave, yung first Marvel Filipino Marvel superhero. So like, I grew up reading his comics. So I'm just really inspired by geeky stuff. So yeah.
Awesome. Pero were you ever sort of like exposed to any sort of gay or LGBT or queer stories in comic books?
Sa totoo lang, wala. Growing
Wala
up,
talaga.
wala. I didn't
Yeah.
see any LGBT representation in comics. Dun sa comics na babasa ko when I was a kid. So, yeah, yun.
Yeah, but I think recently there has been some. I think you mentioned at one point Young Avengers.
Yeah,
and Hulkling and Wiccan.
yeah,
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, the
They're so
power
cute
couple.
together.
There's also Iceman. There's what was his name again? Played by Ryan Reynolds.
Deadpool.
Daredevil?
yeah.
Or-
No, Deadpool.
Oh my god!
Deadpool is
okay.
pansexual.
Yeah, he's pansexual. So
Well, that is true. That
there's
is
a lot
true.
coming out already in the comic
Yeah.
industry. And in
Pretty
the
much.
Philippines setting, I think the first comic that I remember or I heard in lectures was yung parang meme or yung sa cartoonist before. It was a Manuel L. Quezon cross-dressing as a woman because he had to escape. and it was part of a newspaper ad. Parang, where is
Mm.
Manuel Quezon? And there's a picture of him cross-dressing as a woman, escaping in a boat or something like that.
Yeah.
So ganun yung first comic strip in the Philippines.
Oh, since you mentioned that, actually, the first well, history lesson, the first
Uh-oh.
comic strips were actually political. I mean,
Mm.
that was one of the ways that they could actually send a message to more of the masses, because they were protesting against the institution or something like that. Anyways, moving forward.
Yeah,
Sige,
from one
thank
writer to the
you.
next writer. Denise, what was your influence, your inspiration, your spark for writing? I am kasi for those who haven't read Start Here, my favorite couple pa rin in my head is still Kiko and David. That K-pop apocalypse explosion is still lingering in my head. So and also we have a new one from Ki Chen. So what inspired you to
Mm.
write these people? Write their stories?
Well, if it wasn't already obvious, Lance, parang everything that I make is essentially fan fiction. So, you might I'm kind of living the dream na parang fan fiction really is what informed me early on as a writer and creator. And so when I was given the chance to do this for real, to get paid for it, parang why not? I mean, that's where I
Yeah.
started. Fiction is where I started. And kumbaga, it's every fan fiction author's dream is to do it for real, diba? Parang now was the chance to legitimize all my crazy ships. So yeah, about this, I'm a K-pop fan. My group is EXO. They're my ride or die. So can you imagine the 144 combinations of ships from that group alone? So not even talking about couples, we're talking about the thruples and the things like that. So
Mm.
um, I just felt like these K-pop boys are like emotional support at the time, and they still are naman. So what kind of ideas are to be had, parang watching them perform or watching them interact with each other, and creating stories. What kaya was the real story behind this interaction or this interaction? Once you get started down that path, it's a very slippery slope. So that's really where it begins. And then yeah, Kitchen started out for me, at least in name only, parang crack pairing, like you wouldn't normally associate Key of Shiny and Chen from EXO together. But when I thought about it, parang Kitchen, that might have parang maganda yung tunog, parang keychain.
Mhm.
Then
Mhm.
tiny
Naisip ko
tiny
naman kainan, ma'am.
Yeah.
uh,
Kitchen.
Kitchen.
Yeah.
even if nobody got it, even if nobody got it, that's okay. And if you got it, then hey, you're my people. Kayo yung gusto kong kausapin.
Alala. Exit na ako. Char.
Yeah, so yun.
It's very interesting though.
Fanfic really informs most of what I do. And even in my work with romance class, we always have, for me at least as a writer, meron na akong parating like it's either a real life peg or a celebrity peg, or and I very blatantly Mary Sue myself in my stories. So I mean, why not? You are the creator. You wanna create worlds where your characters feel loved, celebrated for who they are, and that's really what drives me. I want to be able to make stories that I myself and the people that I care about can consume and watch and feel safe with. Because there's just too many things in mainstream media right now that are really harmful for you. And we need a break from all of that, diba? So there.
Absolutely. And I think as writers and as creators, I think you guys are very lucky because for me, I guess the pinnacle of my creativity is on a PowerPoint presentation. So for you guys,
So
I'm a
That's an
corporate.
art form. That's an art form.
uh-oh.
Making
Thank you. I appreciate that. But with the worlds that you create, just like what Denise said, the worlds that you create, in a way, you are able to shape reality to the way that you want it. I mean, it's something that sort of like becomes this truth, even just on a big screen, even just on a small screen or on a silver screen, diba? And in a way, for example, if you have something in your past that maybe was a bad experience for you, you are able to sort of like, what do you call that? Reframe that through creating a different timeline or creating a different sort of like storyline to it. So ang
Ah,
galing lang talaga.
term nga for that in, when you're writing fan fiction, it's called a fic. So sometimes you're really into something and there's a problematic element there that you want to fix. You can do that if you're a fanfic author. And a lot of people
Yeah.
do that to kind of reframe or reclaim the narrative.
Absolutely. So it's pretty cool. And thank you very much for doing that, right? Because basically, and like for example, for Boys Lockdown, it was a world wherein there was no judgment. So it was like sort of like
Mhm.
your utopian LGBT society.
Very
Or
about the
I mean, there was some resistance, I guess, or there was some ano. Pero overall, parang it was pretty much accepted, right? So yeah, I love that about that. So
thank
parang
you.
you're showing the world as it could be, right?
Yeah.
So also with stuff on you, ayan, di ba? Parang
Yeah,
normalize sex work, ganon, di ba?
Yes.
Gusto ko yan, di ba?
I
Sex positive
really
tayo
love
eh.
about Boys Lockdown. I have to say, I loved how at the time, because all the stories we were coming up with, there were still hints of stuff that were pretty heavy hitting. And
Yeah.
then I
Yeah.
watched Boys Lockdown, and I was like, oh my god, this is such. Even as a creator myself, I was like, this is such a breath of fresh air. It's just
I
the amount of
know.
love and cotton candy I need in my life.
I know. Oh my god.
Stuff.
Candy.
I mean, gather all those cumulonimbus clouds. Charot. Ayan.
Brainy, ha? Mikey, ha?
Mikey, yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna stop. So go, Lance.
Yeah, it's going to be from one utopian world to another that's stuck in one house. Parang what was your influence and inspiration? Do you also have celebrity pegs? Do you have like DC Marvel Comics influences as well? So what was
Mm.
yours, Direct?
Um, actually, generally, and this is like even before Pornolix, even before Stuck on You. Um, I honestly find it easier to write about pain. So I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys is at my work. It's usually fine. There's a little fun in it, and then all of a sudden, the second half we start hurting people. Pero even before, like, over the Double Studios, everything that I was writing was like painful or hurtful, just because I felt like it felt more real. It's what majority of the people would be going through, and even to a certain point, na parang okay, I've used up all my pain already. My friends
Mm.
start talking to me about the stuff they're going through, and then next day I have a new script, parang ganon. So it's I don't
Yeah.
know, it's been a lot easier for me. I guess that's the Rev side of me. I'll keep writing about pain just so that um, people know that out there's people that there are people also out there that understand what they're going through. Kumbaga, it's my way of empathizing, I guess, and helping people get through those feelings of theirs, being able to see it on screen. Uh, but Stuck on You, though, the main inspiration for that was, and I've said this before, I don't know to who, I think it was with Sila Sid or in Kalat Hours. I was saying that, it's been a year and there has been nothing of that sort in my life.
Let's bring it back.
Yeah. I have not been able to, kind of hook up or whatever during the pandemic. So I was like, in an ideal setting where the swabbing is easy and isn't that expensive and we could just meet up, how would it go? And of course, ayoko rin i-alis in the pandemic setting still because I know a lot of people
Yeah.
are saying out there, another pandemic story. Everyone did that in, the first year of the pandemic. But the thing is, I like to draw from reality pa rin eh, and that's our reality now. We're still there,
Right.
as horrible as it may sound. We're still there. And there's so
Mm-hmm.
many things to tell about the pandemic.
Very true. And we
Very
can't really take us out of this situation. So if you can show them something different while experiencing this pandemic, then it's something that people would be interested in, di ba? Kasi very relatable naman talaga yan.
Oh,
As
lalo
long as
yung the last one was really relatable when you said that our escape, we have to escape from our escape. I
Oh
think
yeah.
that one was a tongue twisting,
No.
mind
Let,
bending
okay, let me
ideology.
try. Let me try if I remember. I think parang what would you do? No. On the online world or Facebook and social media used to be a place that we can escape to when we wanted to escape the world. But now it's become like this huge obituary. So how can you escape when your escape is now something that you need to escape from or something like that?
That was actually a conversation I really had with someone. Like I said those things to a friend
Yeah.
Ooh.
this year because um and in alam mo yung when you're not super friends but you hung out, it's literally that scenario. Like I lost someone who we hung out, we weren't like best friends or anything, but then when we see each other it was super tight and whatever. So I was like, ang weird ng feeling na parang you're thinking kasi na, I'll just see these people someday soon anyway. And then the pandemic hit and then we couldn't even see anyone at all. Like even my yeah, ang dated ba ng term na barkada? Hindi ko alam eh. Basta may barkada. We
Burks chart.
we actually saw each other nung birthday ko lang after more than a year. And yung iba sa amin, the last time we saw each other was actually 2019 pa. Ganun kalala. Kasi you're always like, bahala na, we'll see each other naman, whatever. Tapos biglang, ayan, yung isa namatay, yung ganyan. So, those were very real emotions in that scene. Those really came from something I actually talked about with someone.
And it was actually very well delivered in by Iyo kasi you could feel the emotions. I mean, he was really going through it. And we can all relate, diba? Like for example, whenever we're sad or whenever we need some comfort or something, diba? Parang we're drawn to or we crave physical comfort or a hug, and then you can't even have that because you're afraid that you might catch something. So yeah, all around. Which is why I appreciate what Sampolero posted at one point. I think he made a video about that. Like,
Alin po yan?
Yung may swirly lines with the person, you had the voiceover, the black and white
yeah,
one.
Oh,
correct, yeah.
yeah. Sometimes I do animation too.
It's pretty well done. Yeah, appreciate that.
Ayan.
So Lance, I think
Yeah,
we're
so
gonna move
we've
to
been
this one.
we've been telling stories of each other. You've shared your stories, and now we'd like to hear parang what do you feel is the most underrated or underrepresented uncharted story and the most ordinarily human story that you want to show or either put out in this world?
Uy, Monday na Monday, Lance. Ano ba?
Sorry
Char.
naman.
That's a tongue twister.
Sorry, it's
Sandali.
underrated, uncharted, and ordinarily
Underrated.
human. Underrated. Let's start with underrated first. Like underrated, underrepresented that we should be seeing more, especially on queer content
Mm,
and queer media.
mm.
So, what story would that be on the top of your head? Let's start with Chambi.
I think
Like yung,
first and foremost, the queer struggle, specifically yung struggle ng ating trans brothers and sisters. Like, we need to shed more light on those stories. Kasi like, puro na lang bakla eh. Like, umay na ako sa bakla. Please.
hala.
And,
Sorry ha, Char. Go lang, go lang.
speaking as a bakla myself, umay na ako sa mga bakla. Pero ayun nga po, like, I think we need to bring more focus and attention to the struggle of our trans brothers and sisters, yung mga asexual
Yes.
brothers and sisters natin. We need to bring light to more of those stories. I personally do not know how to do that because I don't think I'm the best person to tell these kinds of stories, or like, I don't think I'm the most qualified to tell these kinds of stories. But I know someone out there has a story about that, and we badly need those kinds of narratives nowadays. So yeah.
I agree. And I kind of felt what you said, no? There was a time wherein parang I took a break from BLs. So I guess you reach a saturation point sometimes when you're always sort of like consuming BL stories. So I took a break and then I watched Shadow and Bones on Netflix. Super layo. And now, in between Stuff on You and other shows, I'm rerunning Friends talaga. Come on. Friends, friends, friends. Yun.
Parang
Thank
Mabuti ka
you.
palate
pa.
cleanser po.
Diba? Correct. Diba? Panghimagas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oo. I went a different route. I went musical. I went Julian the Phantoms nung nagkaroon ako ng BL Umay, kumbaga. So it's a more light-hearted musical. Now, the switch ko with Stuck on You, I'm watching The Crown. Late lang ako, pero I'm watching The Crown now.
I love the
And
crown.
Buti naman.
to break that, I'm watching a reality TV, Too Hot to Handle, also on Netflix. Kasi
Yes.
iba-iba silang dynamics. Kaya natutuwa lang ako. It's
Yeah.
different flavors.
May variety. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for you,
So the
Denise, what's the most or what's the underrated or underrepresented story that you want to put out? Or that you feel that we could have more, especially with
Yeah.
queer media?
Yeah, there are so many stories out there, but and under the with the frame of queer media, I would like, and in any media, so I would like to see more body types represent.
Ah,
Mhm.
Yes.
Speaking as a fat person myself, no, there's really not enough of a variety of body types on anything that I watch. So it's like there's a larger person there. She's tokenized. They're tokenized. I just want to see fat representation of someone whose character is not dependent on her size. So you can have like fat character there, and there is absolutely zero mention about weight loss, her problems with her size or her health in relation to health, like characters randomly coming up to her and saying, "Why don't you lose weight? You look so much prettier," or "Why don't you consider losing weight because it's healthier life option?" Parang ganon. I just want to see more fat people being celebrated and loved and appreciated in the things that we see. So if there's space for queer representation, I really hope there's space also for people who look like me. So, yun.
nice. Thank you. I totally agree. I mean, nasabi ko na to kay Direk Pancho, di ba? Direk. Sabi
Oo,
ko,
Derek. We had this conversation too before.
I mean,
BL dyan.
give me some chubby guys. Give me some.
Yes.
Mhm.
A bear or someone bearded and large, parang that would be fun.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, like I definitely agree with both of you. Within like the LGBTQIA plus flag and rainbow and all that. The BL genre sort of like sobrang ano. It's not because I always say this, but that kind of kicked the door down. No, it opened the door for the community. So get down and tell other stories pa. Kasi nga, may lack of representation pa for our trans brothers and sisters. And then people are saying that they want more bisexual representation too, and that there's also pansexuality. All of that.
Yeah.
Parang we need more stories in general about the community. And yes, wholeheartedly agreed, plus size representation where
Right?
we are not the butts of every joke. I mean,
Right.
and
We're
hindi
not
yung
defined by our size. I mean, it's like my eyes are brown. That's a fact. It's not a character trait. So fat doesn't have to be my main character trait. Diba? So ganun lang.
so much so nga na parang just give me a normal story and then the character just happens to be plus size. Yun lang.
Yes.
Diba?
Right. Exactly.
Sobrang
It's
strong
like-
yung feelings about it.
Okay, pero I agree, di ba? Kasi parang it's something that we feel strongly about. It's like, give me a love story. Except, the people happen to be male, di ba? Alam mo yun? Yung parang gano'n rin eh.
Mhm.
I mentioned this in an interview last year that, I would want to, like, very much so. In fact, parang I had a plot ready for it and stuff. But then, I mean, I guess it's because, it's something that I struggle with myself all my life. So parang, it was always in my head now, will people want this? Would they want to watch this? Kasi parang even in the BLs we do pa nga, there's a lot of issues na people are like, bakit femme?
Oh my God, yes.
Oh, that.
Oh my God, yes.
So biglang yung femme nga, medyo nagsastruggle pa akong patanggap sa kanila na, oo, suck it. My lead is a femme. So screw you. I got that before. Bakit si Judah fem? Tapos biglang now si Reb, unapologetically fem na siya. Like, sobrang twirling around and people are like, yak, ayoko pa na-orin kasi, kasi baklang-bakla siya. Ako parang, oh my God. Tapos with the plus size, natatakot din ako na ganun din. Eh, feeling ko, I'd be super affected because plus size ako.
Yeah.
Mm.
Parang, pero yun nga, di ba? I think that's one of the issues and I think that's one of the things that we really have to keep talking about and maybe educate people about that just because you're femme doesn't necessarily mean that you are any less or should be treated any differently than any other person in the spectrum, di ba? I mean, why are you straight acting or di ba? Or why are you masculine, di ba? Parang I could ask the same of you. Parang gano'n, di ba? Parang we can all be different things. It doesn't necessarily make us any better or any less than anyone else. So yun.
Yeah, so yung follow-up
Elements.
question ko dun would be, go ahead, read Talamas ka muna.
Yeah. So they are agreeing with Direct, like vehemently. Vehemently, magamit ko lang.
Yes.
Pearl Next Door had a plus-size character in the form of Caroline's ex. Yes, forgot the name. Oh, I forgot her name. Yeah. Miss Denise excited for BLD season 2 and more femme characters and underrepresented characters as lead roles, please. Yeah, I think I mentioned this in one of our messenger chats, Lance. No, now hopefully there'll be a story wherein the person's sexuality is not even like a main issue. I mean, they could be non-binary and they can just be going through life, and then we're experiencing their story. That's just basically it. Oh,
Yeah.
if memory serves me right, Jalan Crosswise, especially Tomas, is sort of like a metaphor for being queer in a predominantly Catholic country. Tama ba yan? Tama ba
Yeah,
yan?
exactly that. I think I wanted to like double down on the metaphor na like kasi like the setting of the story was kind of already like fantasy in the sense na oh there's an aswang like flying around in the middle of the day and like people just like it's just like a normal Tuesday, right? So parang
Right.
I don't know what added conflict would there be if like like gay na sila, like parang wala nang conflict doon kasi since it's a fantasy world already. So ayun nga, I decided to like double down on it pa and like make him an aswang and like it yun nga din, it's a metaphor for like acceptance and being othered and being different and not fitting the norm.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah.
And it's a reality for a lot of us, di ba? Marami tayong intersections na gaganap. I mean, you could be gay, and then you could be Muslim, and then you could be other things. So,
Yeah.
definitely it happens.
Yeah. Madaming overlap sa pagiging minority.
Yes.
Correct.
Like, paano kung,
And that makes
kung
it
triple minority ka pa? Like for my case, I'm that. I'm also indigenous. And I live in the province. And I have also a Catholic background. So triple minority.
Yeah.
So ganun yung
Yeah.
crossover, yung intersectionalities. And it's fun kasi I could relate to Tomas and Leo's story a lot because I just had to switch the family ni Tomas into, wait, these are my families. Parang these are my families talaga. One is just tribal Igorot and the other is ultra Roman Catholic. So it's my story somehow.
Yeah.
That's really nice to hear.
We can all relate, actually.
Mm.
Alan says race, sexuality, body size, and nationality is not a
Not.
personality. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, you could be cishet, but then you could be mean, you could be an asshole. So that doesn't make it any better than me, you know. Sorry, I'm dropping words. Kayo kasi getting char. Siguro I wanna sort of like piggyback a little bit on what Lan said regarding Zambalero's characters. So when I saw that one of your pegs for a live version would be Raven for Leo, I was like, oh my god.
Yes. Go Igorot. Kapo Igorot yun. So I love it.
Yeah, isn't he from Baguio or something?
Yes.
Yes,
Si
yes.
Raven Tagpikan.
Yeah.
Yes. And alam mo yun, but I follow him on Instagram, and when I saw Leo, he had that vibe. So when I saw the picture, I was like, oh my god, it totally makes sense. That's why I'm drawn to Leo.
I also just wanted to put more Balbon representation.
Yes,
Yes.
Balbon, let's go Balbons.
let's go.
Yeah, because like all
Yes.
I keep seeing nowadays are freaking twinks, man.
Hey, nothing wrong
Not
with
that there's
Wing.
anything wrong with that.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a twink, but what about the rest of us?
Well,
So
true.
representation as well.
Mhm.
Representation.
Yeah, like
Yes.
But
a little
visually, I
chubby, a little hairy.
Wings. Yok, alam mong may type.
Well, we all have a type. We all have a type.
We all have
So
it.
MX Worry says, I need more skin color variety in BLs. I really love corn things because of brown skip prep. Yes,
Yes.
that was a great
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Yes.
That was actually
Yes.
such a conscious choice. Like I was like, I'm seeing everyone looking like, they're pegging talaga like Thai looking boys or Korean looking boys, and I was like, no, I want my boys to be like super Pinoy, just because I want
Yes.
to do something that feels so real and naturally here. I mean, nothing wrong with being maputi at all. There's
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that, but I feel like we
Mhm.
need more Moreno representation talaga.
Yes, absolutely. Because I know that's the thing. If we always see like bellofied people on screen, that becomes not just a type, but sort of like, is it an archetype? Tama ba yung gamit ko? But it becomes sort of like the ideal, and we
Mhm.
want more variety so that we can show people that it's okay to be you, and you don't have to aspire to be this kind of, I don't know, like,
I think it also pulls you out of reality when you see these couples who are too pretty.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
like,
oh,
totoo ba kayo?
Like again, aligning with my wanting to, be real, to draw from new reality.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, the fact that in politics, none of them had makeup. And tuloy, people were like, oh,
ah,
project, but no, wala pa sadya talaga. Because I just
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to take a chismis ka in the boarding house.
ah. Oh, I'm sorry. Nothing against Bello, but it was just the first thing that popped in my head. But
And also nothing against people that, get stuff done, diba?
you do you, right? Do you? Do
Mhm.
you? Okay. So yeah. All right. Whoever that is.
Sino ba ngayon na nag-handle ng Bro Happy Squad?
I
Ayun.
don't know.
There's
Tanungin
7 of us,
natin.
so we don't know which of the 7.
Fairy type. I think
We're
we're
talking
talking about
about type, the Pokemon
Is
types.
this
Kasi Alan
Pokemon?
said Alan said water type a while ago.
I'm sorry, Swampert forever. Char. Ayan. I'm sorry. Did everyone answer now, Denise? Did
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they all did.
Okay.
Yeah, pero I think
Okay.
before we jump to the next topic, I just like to ask, so how do we prepare or how do we make the next generation be ready for these kinds of stories, these underrepresented stories? What can we do now as creators?
Interesting. Medyo mabilis
Oh,
po.
medyo mabigat yung tanong. Galing kay
Oo.
Mikey po yan.
Yes,
Sige,
Yes,
Chambi,
Denise.
let's start. Or Denise.
Ah.
Go, Denise.
She was
no,
saying
Chambi first. I'm still absorbing the question.
Sige,
Okay.
ma'am.
Paano ba? Shucks. Pang Miss Universe yata itong question na to.
Oh.
Pero, what can we do as creators? I think right now, our responsibility is to help normalize these stories first and foremost. So, how do we achieve that? Just keep doing what we're doing, keep creating these stories where people are seen, where their struggles are heard, where their struggles are validated. So, sorry na, nadidistract ako sa kay Pika.
Si Pika
Okay,
kasi.
sorry. Go ahead.
Tawa ako.
Pika, paki-message yung si Mother Bro ha, kapag ganun.
Pero, yeah, ayun, I think what we can do, the only thing we can do right now is to normalize these stories and to, I don't know, hopefully, like, in doing this, like, we'd be inspiring the next generation of readers or, like, consumers and even creators to make their own stories. Because for sure, like, yung struggles or yung mga kwento ng henerasyon natin, iba na yung kwento ng next generation. Diba?
Mm.
It's not gonna be universal all the time. So yeah, I guess we can just the best we can do right now is to keep creating.
I agree.
That's it.
Absolutely. Just sort of like
Yeah.
put it out there, bombard the community with these stories now.
Like
For
create
sure.
until nagkaroon ng overflow, until the society would think or see that what we're creating now is the norm, until
Yeah.
they realize na it's already,
Or
oh,
the
so two boys kissing in TV. Oh, that's a norm already. We're already used to
yeah,
that, kumbaga.
yeah,
Right.
for sure. Because right now, like, ano pa rin eh, like, when, if you, like, show, like, kunwari, a commercial where it's featuring a gay couple, like, there will still be people, ano, raising their eyebrows na parang, uy, but pwede ba to ipalabas sa TV, ganun. So,
Yeah.
like, I guess what we can always strive for is an environment where that doesn't have to be questioned. And that's just, like,
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
normal. So, yeah.
So that reminds me, I like the video that was made by Globe, wherein we have, I think it was for Father's Day, and there were three dads, and they were talking about their trans and gay kids. So I think if we, I mean, if the general population hears affirmative and validating words from other figures, I mean, people who are not part of the community but who are allies, then I think that's also going to be a stronger message too. Because usually people listen to like-minded individuals, if you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But they listen to the same people that they are, you know. So I'm hearing it from cishet fathers and individuals would also they would listen to them. So.
Yeah. So from an ally, Denise. So how can we push that further, or how do we make the next society or next generation be ready for this?
Okay, first of all, thank you for that wonderful question. No, um, just to support, just to connect it to Sambi's previous answer. Yes, let's create. Absolutely, let's do that. But I think what matters just as much as the creation is the amplification and the support that this media provide. So if we can't support these creators that are coming up with media for the community, for people who are marginalized or underrepresented, then that's only the battle fought halfway. So I think we need to rally together and come
Mm.
to support the media that is being created by creators who we like, who we trust, who share the same values that we do. So if
Yeah.
if we see something that we like coming from a creator that you supported in the past is coming with something new and you like their stuff, promote the hell out of it. Support it. Once you spread
Yes.
Yes.
it, there's a good chance that someone will come across the thing that they made for the first time. Talk about it to your friends. Sabi nga ng Julie and the Phantoms, di ba? Tell your friends.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That's really important to show support for the creators that you like. So, and
Right.
like that, when we see people being very vocal about what they liked, about what they didn't like, about what what we made, the stories that we put out, we listen. We
Mhm.
might not always respond right away,
Yeah.
but we take these to heart. And any creator worth their salt will always listen to, especially we know, ako personally kilala ko na yung mga ride or dies. So parang the support that base, no matter how small, you will always have their support as long as you know that they also know that you have their best interest in mind. So ganun lang, support along with the create you gotta support these creators.
Exactly. Oh my god, I was gonna say that. You stole my line.
Oh my god. Rewind.
Way you want.
I was like, what am I gonna say? Which is gonna sound smart. But that's exactly what it is. It's not enough to create, because the thing is, sometimes we're unable to create anymore because of the lack of support. Then,
Yeah.
so we have
Mm.
to create and support, and that's
That's
actually
true.
connects to Jude's question in the comments. Jude was saying
Mhm.
Right.
wants advertisers to be more queer supportive, and the thing is, obviously, advertisers they won't just advertise for kicks. You know, they need something
Yeah.
back. They need to get something out of it, and the only way to convince them that it's worth putting their money into something is to show that it's a lucrative business. And I mean, fine, it's gonna sound like I'm saying, yeah, get that pink money, advertisers. But honestly speaking, that's the only reason advertisers will remotely ever start thinking that it's worth putting their money into something. So support the content that you love, support the story, so that we can create more stories, and advertisers can start throwing their money into our story.
Right.
How
Yes.
that's how they know that there's like an audience. If you
Right.
guys are not enough, we want this. Oh, hindi na sila makakaano doon, makakatanggi. Know that they'll be getting their money back, right? So,
If there is a
Yeah.
demand, there is a supply.
mm,
Very true. Very true. And that's
Getting
one
in
of the
the
things you. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Mikey.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we were talking about, and that's why I had a banner for it. Because parang pink money is really, really very
Mhm.
strong, but somehow parang we're not using it wisely. I don't know, because yun nga, parang we know that for people, directors, writers, illustrators, to create, they have to have the coins, and we talked about this direct pancho, di ba?
Mhm.
Yeah.
They need to have them coins, but then people are not willing to pay to see creations that we are putting out there, di ba? So parang medyo nakakasad lang kasi parang we want people to create, but then we're not willing to shell out money for them to be able to create in the future. So alam mo yun lang. Ang ano pa naman ang laking industry talaga ng pink money sa totoo lang eh. I mean, there's even an entire cruise where it's just, like party people for LGBTs. Yeah. So yeah, sana tama. Sana magkaroon ng suporta. And in terms of maybe yung getting people to change their minds without the money, yun yung siguro I'm curious about if there is anything that can be done apart from shelling money from pink people. I don't know. What do you
yeah.
Yeah, I
guys
think
think?
You make an interesting point actually, Mikey, kasi a lot of corporate entities kind of want that. Like, they notice it na parang, ay, may pera pala mga bakla. Sige, let's, pander. Parang, okay, fine, napapansin nyo kami, but parang yung feeling na we're only good, we only exist to you because we give you our money. So, parang
Right.
okay, so that's part of it. Pero I guess as creators, and we can still be mindful of the people we choose to work with. I mean, I know it's hard to get that coin. And
Yeah.
probably in our pursuit of getting the coin, we are tempted to work with people whose values do not align with ours. That's always
Mm.
that we take, as creators, if we want to really explore the path. Pero yun, for me, all I can say is choose the people you collaborate with wisely. Yun na lang. Yun na lang.
Right. Absolutely.
Nobody wants to feel exploited at the end of the day, right? And
Mhm.
So true.
pag naka-commit ka na to something, a project, and then later on you find out that these people that you're working with do not have your best interests in mind, by then it might be too late for you to get out of it, and that's another kind of worms.
Right. But would you guys say that there was an uptick in, or was there progress in the way that we are being viewed or in the way that we are being represented? Are we better off now than we were before? What do you think?
Like, yeah, especially when it comes to Soji representation, the visibility, parang compared to the US, to Thailand, to Taiwan, Japan, all the other brothers and sisters around us. Are we better off? Or maybe let's stick to the Philippines. Are we better off from the history that we come from? Because I think there was one resurgence. I think Derek Pancho knows this, yung kay Babaylan, ang Babaylan. So we
Yeah.
saw that rising again. with a
Mhm.
very beautiful video. So, are we better off than before? Lalim.
Eto na, Monday na Monday, ano ba?
Oo nga, ano ba?
Hindi, siguro just to put it into a little bit of context, at least from my perspective, kasi parang for the past year and a half, there has been a plethora magamit lang, of content that has been put out there, from the
Mm.
LGBTQ and the queer community. Eh. Pero it feels like there was, parang andami, no? Pero has that made a difference?
I gotta say, yeah, there was a lot of LGBTQ. I actually more well, BLs na. Huwag na natin sabihin yung buong spectrum because hindi naman talaga. So,
Mm.
Yeah.
pa lang, you can say that we're kind of not, there yet at all. Eh. Because the BLs, it was very much so treated as a fad, to be honest, by a lot of people. I mean, fine. I'd like to say that I rode on the coattails of that just because, I saw it more as an opportunity to be able to tell our stories, not just because, oh my God, I want to talk about two boys making out and make money. But sad to say, it feels like there are a lot of people na ganun pa rin ang tingin doon. That's why they produce those sort of stories. And I mean, uh, you all know that Pride Month wasn't exactly the best Pride Month then this year.
Mhm, mhm.
Many things happened. I'm not going to go into those things, but then
Yep.
Crimes of different kinds, not just hate crimes, but so ang daming ganon. So how will you say that we're better off when parang okay, we took like a few steps forward last year and then suddenly we took, sorry for my language, but a shitload of steps back all of a sudden. So
Mm.
it's
Mhm.
not just it's not just heteros against us eh. But
Yeah.
then with community rin eh. So there's a lot
Internal.
of normalized homophobia. So
Yeah.
parang for us to fully take steps forward, I feel like that has to be worked on first eh. Because you cry for acceptance, but as a community, you're not accepting each other or helping each other out either.
Right.
Yep.
Sorry, I don't know about that.
Laban lang. Laban
I
lang.
love it. Go, direct. Laban.
Na-emotional,
Na-
naiyak.
Hindi, totoo naman kasi talaga, alam mo yun, parang we clamor for inclusivity and we clamor for, alam mo yun, parang acceptance. Pero, I mean, even within us, the community, even within the spectrum, parang, yun nga, we're shunning femmes, we're shunning plus-size individuals, we're shunning yung mga, balbon, I think, yeah. So, alam mo yun, I think that was mentioned earlier. Di ba? Para, representation tayo. So, and, alam mo yun, parang, I don't know how we can expect the heads to accept us if we ourselves do not even accept each other. And the thing is, parang we're very vocal, I think. And we're like, we pull each other's hair and everything. So parang that adds as well to the image and the impression that we are giving off to those outside the community. So alam mo yun, parang it's systemic eh. I mean, I don't know where to start, pero just like you guys mentioned, diba? Parang the more appropriate and proper and let's say accurate representation and content we put out there, the better for everyone. So hopefully it sort of like overwhelms those misrepresentations that we see.
Yeah, and there's also an interesting question from Jude, I think. Pero let's make it broader. Now, how do you balance that? Especially you have the clamor from politics, you have the clamor from the outside spectrum, and your inner voice saying, I want to represent and create, but the capitalist universe. And the patriarchal system is saying this, this, this. How do you balance that?
Wow.
Lalim, sorry. Nahaba ko
Ano
kay
ba to?
Jude.
Question ba yan ni Jude? If a flash call eh. Tama ba?
It's a general question to Jude na how do you balance responsibility to be educational without losing irreverence and creation?
Ay, ang daming English words.
I know. Jude, ang lalim. Oh, sige. Let's tone it down. I think this is more yung kay Alan na lang. Kasi it's somehow similar. It's a step, parang it's a simpler step naman. I think Alan's
Okay,
question was, kasi we asked him the same question too. before. Parang about your presentation, ano yung
Yeah.
process niyo when it comes to casting and your thoughts on casting peer actors for key roles. Ganyan ba kadali? Kung hindi, what makes it hard?
Huminga ng sobrang lalim.
Oo.
You want me to go first, guys? I want. Denise, would you want to say something about this? Because you're also.
Pancho, I feel that he has a lot to say about this.
So with me, kasi you stuck on you. Both of my my leads are cisgender straight men, and then with Royce, who's also ganon, and then you have Kyo, who's openly pansexual. My whole thing is with that is, in an ideal setting, definitely, queer roles for queer people. Why not? But sad to say, the industry isn't the ideal setting right now. So my view on that is that if, I am to get hetero men to take on these roles, kailangan they're open to being educated, they're open to understanding, and when they leave my set, they better be a damn good ally or I will bitch slap them to the moon. I kid you not. Ganun talaga. Because that's one of the first things I ask them. So what are your views on ganyan? The sasagot, and even political stand. I ask talaga.
That's important. That's important.
If hindi kami aligned talagang, sorry, no, you suck. Ganon. Kahit sobrang galing mo actor kung hindi ka mulat sa dapat kinamumulatan, hindi talaga tayo magtatrabaho together. And I guess that's the best part, about the people I've worked with so far for the BLs. Like si Royce, he literally said that na direct akala ko this was just it. It was like black and white, tomboy bakla tapos. Tapos ang bakla gusto nagbibis babae. So we had a long talk. Like, after every shoot, we had long talks talaga na nagpapakwento lang siya para mas maintindihan niya. Si Iyo kasi alam niyo naman si Iyo very siya. Like aral, very he takes his time. But si Ives, ganun din, like he'd sit next to me pag hindi nagtitake. Direct pag ganito yung sitwasyon, anong dapat kong gawin? Direct pag sinabihan ako ng ganito, anong dapat reaction? Or so ganon. So nakakatuwa na talagang may conscious effort din sila. At kung hindi ka ganon, sorry talaga, hindi ka tao. Yun lang yun. Ganon, I get super when it comes to that. But yeah. So long story short, in summary, yes, I feel like the role should be open to everyone, but that's just because, it helps gain stronger allies. Yun lang.
Yeah.
May question po ako for Miss Denise and Direct Pancho, since yung mga works nyo nga po ay na-adapt na as an actual show. So, like, related din po siya dun sa question na about like queer casting. Like, before po ba kayo mag-go into production, minimake sure nyo po ba na lahat ng everyone involved, like from the cast and the crew, like merong nag-undergo ng SOGI talks?
Yes.
Or like formal, like kahit hindi formal, like basta like meron silang like knowledge about what SOGI is.
Denise?
Yeah, sige. Just a bit of a brief backgrounder on the way that Boys Lockdown was developed. I think it goes back to what I said earlier, wherein you choose the people that you align with, you choose the people that you collaborate with. So for me, from the start, there was that intrinsic trust na with the people who worked on this show. So Jade is a really close friend of mine. We go way back college. Palang kami, friends na kami. And I am a big fan of his work. And I think it's safe to say that he is also a fan of my work. So we pretty much know each other's, values, what matters in this world, ganyan. And Darwin Mariano, who runs it to me, is a good friend of Jade. So parang it felt like such an organic thing for us to come together to create Boys Lockdown. And then, birds of a feather and all that. Hindi namin pinag-usapan, or it wasn't like it just so happened that we were friends, traveled in concentric circles, kumbaga the Venn diagram of it all na parang nag-intersect point. And when you talk to people of the same like persuasions and interests and values, these things are they naturally, and you talk about it, the way you look at the world aligns a certain way. And for this one, I was just very fortunate na nagkakatugma ako, si Jade, and Ticket to Me, the core team of Ticket to Me, in what we wanted the show to be about. So, yeah, and it was that conscious decision of shaping the show to be what it was, to be very mindful of these considerations. Representation, yes, it was a very important ingredient of the show. Um, of course, yung awareness sa SOGI issues, I think due diligence yon sa sa
Right.
amin. Parang, you are, you consider yourself an ally, do your due diligence to educate yourself about it. Ako, I don't claim to know everything about, every issue about what the LGBTIA plus community is going through, but for sure, I would like to be considered a good ally in that I respect and honor your views and your stories and want to treat the stories about you in a way that you feel safe approaching. So, yun lang naman for me. Yun ang for me.
With us naman kasi, with quarantines, it was my first thing, and Ride or Die isn't really like a big thing. It was my personal YouTube channel that I wanted to grow because I wanted to tell stories because I miss doing that. So it's really just people that are dear to me and are good friends. So I guess it helped na ganun because before kasi ng Ride or Die, that's me, that's Bev, and then si Ken Briantes, our production manager. Si Ken, he's an outer proud baklang kanal, as he would say. So I'm good. Okay na ako sa aspect na yun. Then si Bev, you have this, what she used to be was a super sheltered prom-D girl, and then ang nakakatuwa was, he was like, kasi ang tawag sa akin, pag hindi kami sa set, mami ang tawag sa akin. So, ayokong pumasok ng pagkikwento ng kwento ninyo na hindi maayos yung pagkakaintindi ko. So talagang humingi siya ng isang buong gabi actually. Kasi mas informal, I guess, yung usapang SOGI namin. Na ganoon lang, I gave her brief discussions about stuff, and then she laid out all her questions and how to understand, and then siguro pag may pagkakamali, once in a while, ang importante naman yung hindi mo naman awayin sana. Correct, para mas mapaintindi. Tapos ganun, like yung team habang lumalaki, laging friends naman namin yung sumasama. So nagkakaroon pa rin ng conversations. And ang nakakatuwa, even the super, super like bro na guys, they're super like interested in learning and understanding these things. Kasi I mean, like Denise said, ako rin hindi ako nagkiklaim to know everything just because it's a continuous thing. Like it keeps evolving. So tayo rin mismo we have to keep learning new things eh. So parang ganoon lang din. Hindi ko tinetake against kung hindi pa sila super mulat, I guess. Because that's up to me to try to help them because I'm also learning along the way. And yun lang naman. Fun. Pero yes, definitely importante sa akin na lahat align at nagkakaunawaan sa ganong aspect. Kasi yun nga, kung ang artista nga ilalaglag ko pag hindi, paano pa kaya kami-kaming prod team, diba?
True. And
Did that
thank you for
answer your
answering.
question, Sandy?
Yeah, it's nice to know na like parang from what I hear from you guys nga po na parang you are the people that you work with are also friends, so you know na who they are and kung ano yung mga alignments nila and whatnot.
May level
Na,
of trust, parang ganon. Let's put it that way.
yeah, important talaga yung aspect po na yun. So that's nice to hear kasi nga parang before like may narinig akong like instance ng I'm not sure I want to get into that, but like
Maybe you want to get into that.
like you hear stuff on Twitter and like basta yun and like nakakalungkot kasi like part ka pa naman ng isang BL tapos like parang why why would you go into a BL knowing na parang conflicted naman yung feelings mo about it in the first place? So parang it's nice to know that the people you work with, like from day one pa lang, or like kilala nyo talaga.
Totoo
Ayun
yun.
lang.
Nakakahiya naman na ride or die yung pangalan ng channel namin tapos hindi ko pala sila kilala. Dapat sila yung ride or die ko sa buhay.
True. Ayun.
Well, siguro and this is just me thinking. Maybe they were conflicted and they wanted to go into to do the BL. Maybe because they were trying to find sort of like an answer by doing it. So I mean that could have been a possibility. And yeah, diba? Kasi parang maybe in themselves, they're not sure how they feel about it. And by going through this experience, it might make them arrive at a decision. So whether that's for or against the community, well, we don't know. I don't know what the story is, but I'm hoping that they use that experience to be able to at least gain more knowledge and more understanding about the community.
Alam mo, Mike, in relation to that, that's something I mentioned to Ibes and Iyo. Na when you accept kasi a role sa ganito, like a BL or a queer role or a role in general, hindi for me especially for something like yun nga, a queer role na alam mong that there's still a struggle at may pinaglalaban. It doesn't end with just the role and the project that kasi if you accept the role, you have to be you're consciously accepting becoming an ally. So hindi siya for me pwede na parang I'll test it out because if it doesn't work, it was just a project. You're representing people talaga eh. It's not just it's a dumb chick flick or a dumb rom-com. Hindi eh. May nire-represent ang tao at actual na buhay at kwento nila yon. So hindi natatapos yun sa ginawa ko na yung project, okay na, nag-promo na ako. Diba? For me lang. For me lang.
Understood. And I think that
like saying check your privilege. Parang, yeah, I mean, you're exploring, but at the end of the day, you have the choice whether you want to get out or not. Other people don't have that choice.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one of the arguments that was raised regarding Jared Leto playing a trans person, a trans individual. Kasi parang when he played a trans character, it was a role, or it was like clothing that he put on. But once the role was done and once the movie was done, then he took off that clothing, he shed the skin of a trans person, and then he became his usual self, diba? So parang
every Danish girl, diba? I mean, fine, you can say it was a good performance or whatever, ganyan, but that's the thing. Parang, pagkatapos, ano na? Diba? Yuck, galit na galit.
Okay lang yan. Kasi yun
yan.
nga eh. And that's the reason why we are pushing for queer persons to represent queer characters in roles, diba? Kasi parang they don't shed off the skin eh. They are who they are on and off screen. So parang in a way we are showing people na eto talaga siya. As opposed to you have an actor playing a role, then once they shed that skin, then they can think na parang okay, so yung pagiging trans pala, it's something that you can pretend to be. So maybe they're not really trans. Maybe they're not really, stuff like that. So it can be, But then again, that also, and this is just me being devil's advocate here, but isn't it also true that actors can be actors without being allies? Is that not okay anymore? Because it used to be na parang, if you give them a role, that's what actors do. They just play the role, and that's it. So are we saying that's no longer okay, or are we saying that it's ideal na they are allies and they are members of the community?
Ako outright, I'm gonna say that that's not okay. Think of it as, oh my god, I'm a Nazi, I'm playing a Jew.
Oh no!
Being fully honest here, it feels like
that analogy,
and it's parang it really won't sit well with me. Especially if I know that person is against that. So parang, diba, for example, Manny Pacquiao suddenly plays a gay man.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I mean, fine, mad respect to him as a boxer, but babalik ko yung question, Mikey. Would you want Manny Pacquiao to play a gay man and represent you and your community? Diba? Ganun lang din.
No. No.
Ah.
Oh my God.
I get that.
Mainit na yung ulo ko.
Oo. Pero I
Oy,
love the images, ang visual masyado, so parang sapul sa
oy,
mukha
gusto ko
talaga
yung,
to.
gusto ko yung analogy na yan, ah. And at this point, I would just like to say to our audience, the views and opinions of the guests. Charot. No,
Reflect, ganun
saying,
din.
I'm just saying that what we're saying here, these are our perspectives. So if you disagree with them, that's okay. But hopefully, we come to an understanding na, oo nga eh, we want to be represented by people in our community because we have shared experiences, diba? I mean, it's all well and good that an actor who is not part of the community will play the role, pero iba pa rin pag nanggagaling sa isang membro ng community. Iba pa rin talaga.
Pero there's also a thin line there, di ba? I'm playing devil's advocate naman on that kasi there's also members of the community na hindi pa learned about our soji pa. And there are also some who are allies who know more about our stories pa nga, who emphasize more. So where do you guys draw the line when it comes to that, especially when casting, people in production, and suddenly nagkaroon ng shift? Or one incident ruins it all?
But I feel like, di ba, it goes back lang again to yung ako, more than aawayin kita, susubukan ko muna na. Tapos kung talagang matigas ka at ayaw mo pa-educate, doon tayo titigil talaga.
Yes.
Yes, definitely. There are members of the community that also could use a little more educating themselves. And I mean, kahit naman tayo, I'm sure, may mga pagkukulang tayo in certain aspects. So, yun lang. Patient sa pagtuturo, sa paggabay. Pero kung hindi talaga papatina, edi sorry, goodbye na talaga.
Yeah. So I guess, I don't know, parang one of the things that we are looking for are people who have open minds and who are willing to understand and see things from our point of view. Kasi mahirap na parang sarado sila. Diba?
Yun eh. Dapat hindi lang mind eh. Pati heart mo open dapat.
Heart.
Kasi
Yes.
as a whole eh. Not just, the idea of it, but also yung parang embracing the people for who they are eh. So mind and heart talaga yan. Yok! Ang cheesy ko bigla.
Oy, totoo yan. Totoo yan. They have to be in sync eh. Kasi parang, di ba, kaya nga may sinasabi natin, sana dalawa ang puso ko, but then my mind is telling me, no, but my body, charot. Nag-ano talaga. May kanya-kanyang direction. So, they have to be aligned. I agree. That's what I try to say. Oh my God, grabe, ang saya. And this is one of the reasons why I like doing the speak room as well, because I get to hear a lot of different perspectives. And of course, parang, like you said, Direk, no, parang there are some things, because I'm a product of my generation, right? So Gen X, yes. So I'm a product of my generation. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Diba? So there are some things that, sorry, kasi diba, parang when you grow up with something, then it's practically ingrained in your DNA. So it's harder for you to let go of those things or to change. Pero one thing that I will say is that I'm always willing to listen and try to understand people's point of view. Kasi, di ba, ako parang, I don't know what it's like to be an asexual. So if a person who is asexual will want to explain what that means to me, I'd be willing to listen to them. But personally, I don't know. So I might say something that might offend them, or I might do something that's sort of like, so off. So yun. If I do, guys, I'm sorry. Pero I'm willing to learn and listen. Yeah. Maging pusit ka, tatlo ang puso. Sige. Laban tayo dyan. Char. Sorry. Nasaan na tayo, Lance?
Yeah, we're back. We've been talking about soji visibility and representation and the aftermath of it. Especially kasi ang naging trend ngayon, di ba? Parang I'm happy that we've seen a lot of production houses coming up, but it's only parang sabi nga ni Chambi kanina, it's mostly BL. Parang we want to see more, we want to hear more asexual stories, you want to hear more pansexual stories, bisexual. Parang we want the whole rainbow. GL din. And I'm happy that romance classes actually parang living to its expectations na rin. They're adding more flavor in literature, especially with GL. Ang dami nilang lit on that. Pero I want to ask Denise, parang how do you write or embody, especially coming from an ally. Sabi mo, you wanted to create a safe environment and space for us. But how do you get into that mood, especially writing for another community or another marginalized community in that matter? Din?
Mhm.
I don't know if I have a scientific answer to that. Um, I guess it's part of being we try to be decent people naman kasi every day, 'di ba? So, and part of
Mhm.
being a decent person is honoring other people even if they don't look like you, if they don't think like you, if you don't like what they say, parang it's acceptance of being a human being interacting with other human beings.
Mhm.
And the point of view na parang everyone is actually okay unless they're oppressing another person. So parang that's my
Mm-hmm.
na parang
Mhm.
everything is preference, everything, you have different set of values. The only value that matters to me for you to qualify as an okay person to me is that you do not oppress anyone else. So parang kumbaga it's
Mhm.
for me it's just that yung parang as long as yun nga hindi ka nakakatapak ng tao,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
um that's part of being a decent person. So it's really not about, I have to be nice just because this person is ganito or just because this person is ganito. I have to treat them differently. That's not being treated differently is even the point of it. It's
Mhm.
just affording the person the same kindness that you would expect for yourself. So, 'di ba? Parang I think I'm worthy of love. I think you are worthy of love. Ganun lang naman yung sana parang I mean even if we're talking about being a romance author into it, everybody is deserving of love. So, and everybody is deserving of their own happy ever after. So, that is really what is at the core of me being a romance author. That's what I believe. That's my that's the hill that I will die on. So, and I guess that spills over to the rest of my work outside of the romance class community. Yun, yung ethos na yun. That worldview.
Miss Denise, fast talk now. If you're gonna choose
Oh,
actors to play on your new BL show, which ones are you going to make timbre to?
oh my God.
Tanan.
If you're going to choose actors to play on your new BL show, which ones are you going to make timbre to? Mahina, you know what? Casting is my weakness.
Mhm.
I trust. That's why we have very good producers because kung ako lang, meron akong mga headcanon and probably these people will be very expensive or they don't exist or they're animated. Sometimes my pegs are
Are fictional.
really wanna ask me fast talk. Titimbrehan ko like anime characters or other fictional characters. So, yun.
Now I'm curious, which anime characters would they be? It's a BL animated show.
Oh my god.
Oh my God. Well, I would have to say, partial talaga, nag-share ng mga types. No, my first anime crush is actually Chad from Bleach. So, that is the kind of
Oh
character
my
that
god.
I
Oh.
love.
Dark skinned dude, yeah.
Kuwabara from Yu Yu Hakusho. He is my jam.
Oh.
So, I love
Ooh.
big, dumb, soft-hearted guys who will
Mm.
fight for who will fight on the side of good and
Uh-huh.
justice. Yun yung mga type ko.
Rather Die is here. Hi.
I rather die. But I want to throw the same question to Chambi also. Let's say that you're gonna create an anime BL show. Sinong
Mhm.
existing fictional anime character titimbre mo together?
Anime. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I don't really watch a lot of anime. more of
That's
like
okay.
more of
or
like cartoons ako.
or cartoons. Let's go to that field.
Cartoons.
Cartoons.
If I
Mhm.
were to make like a a new show with
Mm-mm.
like
Ika-crossover mo sila
Interesting
just to
character.
create a BL.
ah hmm I think not necessarily crossover, but I really ship Superboy and Tim Drake, Robin.
Ooh,
Ano,
yes.
the Teen
Okay.
Titans.
Yes.
Sobrang crush ko si Superboy because like wala, like Miss Denise, like gusto ko din yung mga people who will like fight for justice, mga ganun. Mga himbo, like if you guys are familiar with the term.
Mm.
What's a himbo?
Himbo, parang po siya, like this really muscular buff dude, pero he's like a big softie.
Yes.
Mm.
And so
Speaking of
yeah.
which, do you like Bara comics, Char? Let's go, Char. Sorry. Since we're with Sambo, Jude had a question for you earlier. Animated ang jowa kong crosswise when? Are we gonna do an animated version or something in the future, maybe?
I hope so. I certainly hope so. Like animated, I think mas better suitable for ang jowa kong crosswise kasi if it's like ideally sana maganda din live action, pero like considering yung state ng graphics natin sa bansa, baka
Right.
Well, yun lang. Graphics naman here would be nice kung paid right naman yung
I
mga.
know, but sobrang
Yes.
underpaid and sobrang overworked ng ating creatives.
Right.
Pero nung lumabas yung jowa kong crosswise, sobrang, as in, I kid you not, I was like, malaking FU na sigaw. Because I was like, oh my God, I'm wanting to do something like this. Ganun. Kasi, sakto pa, everyone was like coming out with their mga magma-mermaid BL, diba? Ang dami nagpo-promote.
Yes. Merman as well, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay. Nung una kasi, I was like, gawin lang kaya natin yung parang style Marina or Jezebel, pero BL. Tapos ang dami labasan. Tapos I was like, you know what? Ang hilig ko naman sa demonyo or mga kabaliw. So why don't we do like an aswang thing? Tapos biglang
Right.
oh my God. Ito na lang. Magbabasa din ako. Yeah.
Magastos nga po. Pero nakita niyo po ba yung commercial nung anong sardines yun?
Century Tuna!
No,
it was a tuna. No. Mega
sardines.
sardines.
Mega.
Tapos may manananggal sila.
Correct. That was
I
so
thought
fun.
parang pag naging live action mo yung gawa ko, ganito yung itsura.
Yung parang
It's so silly.
You know that commercial that came out na yung end of the world thing na si Satan and the girl, yung that Ryan Reynolds produced.
Yeah.
Yes, the dating app.
Gumawa ng ganito pero BL. Kung hindi ka swang or kapre. Oh my God.
Pero direct budget.
Umabot na ako sa point that I messaged a friend of mine that does prosthetics talaga. Tapos nag-i-inquire na ako for how much it would cost. Tapos na-guess ko na parang, parang hindi. Hindi pa.
Pero direct, you can do that. I mean,
sobrang
you're
on-top market
masterful.
po yan, direct.
Ikembot muna tayo ng konti. Kikita tayo ng coin. We need to make coin first. You know? So, folks, lahat ng nanonood nito.
Baka po may gusto mag-sponsor.
Oh, there you go. Slide into the DMs, Char. Speaking of Darna, so we remember Jasha Saturna, right? Which was a huge hit, and it was a graphic novel. So, do you have any plans of doing a graphic novel, Chambi?
Yes, please.
Yes, for sure. It's in the works. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say anything right now, but it's
It's in the works.
Great show.
Okay.
Something's
Awesome.
cooking for sure. I can't wait to announce it, but I'm not sure if like I can right now.
Okay,
Baka
no problem. Oo nga, no? Budget daw. Budget. Pero definitely, when it does come out, I'm sure you're gonna post about it. So my money, as well as Jude's money, is ready for that graphic novel. We gotta
Yeah,
support.
mine too.
Pink money, Char.
Support local artists.
Yes.
Wait, sorry. Are we done with the question? Because I want to go back to Jude's question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I get it now because I reread it and I reread it. Oh my God!
So how
where
could
did
you
it go?
break it down for them to make it simpler? It's not a Miss Universe question.
Yeah.
So
Yes,
yeah,
Mikey,
so
go.
basically he's saying now before we can be irreverent and people would be okay with it, right? But now because people are more woke and they're more politically correct, nawawala yung pagiging irreverent, maybe in comedy, maybe in satire, those types of things. So how can we still be educational and without losing the irreverence? Kumbaga, there is some, alam mo yun, kasi when you create, sometimes you get to that point of being irreverent eh. But then you can do so, how can you do so in a way wherein you can still educate and not make it offensive? I guess that's what he's saying. Yeah.
Iba po yun
Kasi
sa irrelevant, di ba?
iba-iba. Iba-iba yan. So it's like, siguro to put it into context, dati, and this is something that Parokya and Edgar did themselves. When they did a concert, maybe like a couple of years ago in Ateneo, they said to the audience, like parang, pasensya na ha, kasi nung ginawa namin yung kantang to, iba yung sensibilities ng mga tao noon. So, alam mo yun? So the types of songs that they sang are okay from when it was created, when it was made in a previous year or a previous decade. Pero singing it now, it can be very, it can shake boats, whatever. So yun, how can we still do that and satisfy the wokeness or the political correctness?
Nag-evolve din ng humor kasi eh, di ba? And the kinds of jokes that are acceptable at a certain time. I mean, like, I grew up where, I was young, Friends was on air, I was super into it, and then now it's on Netflix. You have people saying, oh, but that's offensive nowadays. So, parang, yeah. So, yes, I guess generally we accept that some stuff that were created before may not sit well in the future with others. Pero, I feel like also it's up to us as creators. Like kaming tatlo, syempre, nag-create kami sa kanya-kanyang medium. To be smarter also when it comes to injecting humor and comedy into our works. Because obviously, yes, ang hirap yung balance ng humor tsaka yung medyo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to be smarter lang talaga. There's no other way to do it but to consciously be smarter about the work we put out. I mean, and not everyone will always, enjoy it din naman, or it won't always sit well with everyone. Because I've gotten feedback about that line about sex work, and people were kind of saying na parang, yeah, but in the Philippine landscape, sex work is a forced thing because of poverty and game. But I'm like, but I'm talking about the broader sense. But wala eh, hindi lagi may intindihan ng mga tao. So ganun lang rin yun. But it's up to us to keep trying to do better lang with the way we say or do or create things now.
Agree. What about Champion Denise? What do you guys think?
I agree din with Direct Pancho na parang we have to be smart about the content that we put out. Pero we also have to note na parang once we put it out there, it's gonna be out there. And like maybe years down the line, the jokes that we make or the content that we put out won't sit well with other people. But the best that we can do right now is to be empathetic to like the and be understanding and be aware of what is going on right now. Because who's to say what's gonna happen 1 year, 2 years, 5 years down the line, diba? Nobody can tell. So we just have to be like empathetic right now. So yeah.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Denise.
For me, be irreverent, yun yung tanong.
Yeah.
Okay, so my thing about that is, it's so easy be a creator nowadays and be carried away with some sort of vision or message that you want to say and pass it off as being irreverent or being edgy. And that's, we can see a lot of examples right now with in mainstream media. Maraming ganyan, yung parang they think they're being so edgy by saying this or presenting themselves as this. When really, what they're doing is reinforcing ideas that are already there. So for me, being irreverent is really championing a set of values that is not fashionable, that is a lot of people are gonna frown down on it because it's not normal, it's not the norm. So for me, it's more interesting to use ideas that you truly believe in, that not everybody else believes in, and that's what will make you irreverent. Kaysa sa yung parang,
Mm.
you're using jokes to be shocking, or using um, visual elements to for shock value. I am thinking of several mainstream releases. I'm not gonna mention which ones. They're out there if you really want to find them. They're not for me, but they're always being marketed as some sort of edgy or irreverent humor that I don't think it's irreverent, because obviously a lot of people like it. Also it's getting money, eh. So it's not being irreverent as being yung parang bastos lang talaga. So there is that line of being irreverent and being bastos. You can be irreverent without being bastos. So yun ang for me, yung parang ayun, in line din with what Pancho and Sam said. Yes, it's being smart, pero that's very hard to qualify. What is smart to you may not be smart to other people. So
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
ayun lang, parang hirap, eh. Parang it's about challenging the status quo, and what you think is wrong about that status quo. That's what will make your work irreverent. Other and for me, I mean, that's what matters. If you go in saying, no, my goal is to be irreverent. Well, really, at the end of the day, how irreverent do you think that work will be if you start off with that premise, diba? So, yun lang. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does actually. And I totally agree that as long as you are authentic, I don't think that people can tell you that you are wrong, because you are speaking from your personal experience, diba? Your truth. So some people might not agree with it, pero you, I mean, as long as you speak from your heart and from your head, then that should be enough, no? I mean,
Yeah.
that's what you do naman eh. When you create, when you direct, when you illustrate, that's coming from you eh. So when people say that it's wrong, bakit? Eh, gawa ka naman ng sarili mo, char. Ayan. Ayan. Pero I think related to that is this question from Kimo. Is it Kimo or Chimo? Meets World. So, yun nga, authenticity, no? How can we balance mass appeal and authenticity in our storytelling and representation? What do you guys think? Another Monday question.
Another Miss Universe Monday question brought to you by Chino Mids World.
Yung
Yes.
audience ng BBS talagang they are discerning, they are asking really thought-provoking questions. So,
Yes.
thank you, keep
Mhm.
coming. Medyo the best.
Ayan, that's another factor, di ba? Because I'm sure that as creators, we want to gain that mass appeal. Kasi yun nga eh, it's all about reaching a wider audience, or maybe having a bigger platform, or maybe having, I don't know, more than coins, because that is part of the equation, di ba? So how do you cater to the mass appeal without losing your authenticity?
I have an answer.
Go.
um I try not to think about it as much because ayun nga, like I said, I'm telling this story from the heart, like I'm just it started out like as a joke, and like this is my story, and I'm not pandering to any audiences. I'm not doing this for anybody else but myself. That's how it started. And at its core, yun pa rin naman yung principle ko when I make content. Pero kasi like, ayun nga, hindi naman maiiwasan na like it kind of got a lot of traction nga, and it got a lot of attention. And I have to admit, sometimes it gets to my head na parang, shucks, I have to put out content that people will like. Na pressure ako. Nakaka-pressure siya na like there are
Yeah.
like this many people na nag-aabang ng content from you. So as much as I try not to think about it, minsan nahuhulog din ako sa rabbit hole na yun. And like, share ko lang din, like, recently, diba, like, I introduced a new character, like, a love interest for Sammy Rosie, Angie, which is a lesbian centaur, basically. And
Mm.
I made that for the lesbians, for the sapphics. And hindi ko naman inaasahan na ma magiging ganon kataas yung um, parang engagement sa panel na yun, sa specific episode na yun, kasi nga ayaw ng mga bakla sa Petchay. So,
Oh my God.
diba? Aasahan ko pa ba sila tangkilikin yung Sammy-centric episode? Pero like, ayun nga, parang, hindi naman sinisisi ko sila kasi preference lang din
Yeah.
naman yun. Pero like,
Mhm.
it's just a joke na parang,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna put out content that I want, content that I think people will like, and hopefully somewhere out there, kahit like one person, 10 people, or like 300, whatever. Like, if it resonates with them, then I did my job as an artist to like share this story and make them feel validated, make them feel seen. Like, no matter, like, hindi naman to para sa masa eh. Like, parang para to sa minorities talaga to begin with. So like, if this appeals to the minorities within the minorities, then well and good. I'm very happy to have produced this kind of content.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I'm hoping that it remains that way, no? Na parang you do it for you and not necessarily for them. Kasi yun nga, parang you fall into that trap.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Thank
It's a
you for
very
sharing.
hard hole to get out of once you're there.
I know, diba? And the thing is, parang you're not just building it yourself. You have a whole audience building it with you.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
And people need validation.
that's true. So it's
Yeah.
not. It's more of a sinkhole than a hole. Sure. Anyways, you'll
Something like
see
that.
the buzzard.
Yeah. How do you handle the pressure, Denise? Especially if you want to keep everything mom, and you're parang the fans are clamoring for more content, especially with boys lockdown and such.
I wish I had the answer to that question kasi I think if I answered that question, ang yaman ko na siguro. Like, balancing mass appeal with authenticity. Shucks, I mean, I wish I had an answer to that. Pero I agree with what Sam said na parang at the end of the day, you are there to tell a story that, ikaw din yung magiging audience niya. Pero that's not to say na parang you're doing it selfishly, pero you have to be happy with your work. I think that's what it means to be authentic. That the thing that you are creating is also making the creator a happier, better person. So if that's the case, then the likelihood of that work translating and transmitting the message will be higher than something that the creator is not happy with. Diba? So parang it'll show it. It'll always show. If a work is authentic and you can tell that the creator was happy in the creation rather than something that was purely done because of some kind of a commercial goal and none of the joy. You can always tell. I mean,
Mhm.
us as consumers of media, you can always tell, okay naman siya, pero parang I didn't feel it. So, it's that feeling. It's very, very hard to capture. But when it's captured, grabe, there's the magic. Nandun talaga yung magic niya.
Right. Sabi nga ni Marie Kondo, di ba?
Does it spark joy?
Otherwise, say goodbye.
Throw it away.
Yeah, it's not making you happy. It makes sense to stop na, di ba? So,
True.
Yes, direct.
No, ako ganun din naman. I mean, like, kasi with me, like, anything that I do naman, well, sa ride or die. Anything that I do sa ride or die, kailangan galing sa puso ko. Kung hindi talaga. Ramdam ko rin. And even with, I mean, other stuff I've worked on, I can say that honestly. Alam ko naman it's not my best because my heart isn't in it, you know. Yun lang talaga yun. I mean, for example, after Quarantines, diba in Quarantines, I introduced a lesbian character. Pero minimal screen time, and then there was this should I do a GL because I feel like that's the next step? And then
Mhm.
I honestly I weighed that a lot because that was the next thing I was supposed to do. And then I waited a lot and I realized, you know what? This is gonna take a lot of care, and uh, there has to be a lot of care going into this just because I don't know the struggle myself. And it's something I set aside then because I felt like, wala pa dun yung puso ko na gawin yun. Not because I don't want to represent them, ha? But because
Mhm.
I felt like I didn't fully understand it for me to jump into it then. And I
Mhm.
didn't want to give people a half-assed show lang. Yun lang. Ganun lang kadali
Right.
yun.
Mhm.
Eh.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that we've seen is, you have Game Boys, and then you have Pearl Next Door coming from the success of Game Boys. And people were saying that we're going to support Pearl Next Door, etc. But then it didn't garner as much support as Game Boys, or it didn't have the same popularity as Game Boys because it was a sapphic story. So, alam mo yun, parang, I guess there is that thing as well. Like, maybe hindi siya mas tinatangkilik at this point in time. Pero
Yeah.
hopefully, there are still stories that are put out there. Kasi yun nga eh, parang they need to be represented too.
Although sa case na ganun, yun yung feeling ko, doon pumapasok yung sinasabi ni Chambi na create, create, create. Because parang, okay, hindi nag-work yung una masyado. It didn't do as well as Game Boys. Tapos parang, ibig sabihin, lahat ng mga magkikreate ng content, ay, huwag na lang tayo mag-JL kasi if flop, hindi naman kumikita. Hindi dapat ganun. Kasi kaya hindi kumikita because there's not much representation yet out there for it to win back the coin that they spent. So, doon pumapasok yun. Na ganun. Kasi, I mean, kaya lang naman na-realize ng mga tao that pwede nilang tayaan ng brands, na pwedeng tayaan ng mga BL, it's because they saw that it was a lucrative market. So, parang ganun lang din, I guess, with GLs, with trans stories, with everything else. I mean, hello, manananggal love, hello. Laban mo din.
Yes, exactly. Right. And I think that in terms of promotion, maybe they're not promoted as much. Like, for example, I only found out about My Troll Lover by Derek Rod and by EJ Haljurina when I started researching about EJ for a show that she was going to be in Us. So, alam mo yun, parang, I guess in terms of the word of mouth, I think it just needs to be stronger as well. Diba? That if we see something that we like, we share it with the community, we post it, etc. I think somebody said in the ano, diba? That we can increase our social media posts and
Yeah.
retweets about stuff. So that's one
Make
thing
some
that I
noise.
can do. Yeah. Thank you, Dev, for your insights. Nagchichikahan lang kami dito, Chimo. Pero salamat. Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Ayun. Oh, did somebody else want to say something ba? About that?
Wala naman, Mikey. You can go to the next na.
Okay. What is that again?
Kasi we've been talking a lot about that.
Ayan.
So, a question of accountability. So,
Napangiti si Direk Pancha. Napangiti.
any insights, anyone?
Yeah.
So I think that needs no explanation, and it's just as plain as that. It's a question of accountability, especially of what's being released, what's happening right now with everything else. So, what's your thoughts on accountability?
Ano pong context ng accountability?
Mikey, pasok!
Well, kasi there are things, di ba, as a community, we are eto na naman ako, beholden, charot, to our brothers and sisters to make sure that the content that we create is authentic and proper representation, di ba? But there are a lot of productions that do not ascribe to that. Diba? Parang yun nga eh, I think somebody mentioned it kanina na parang gumagawa lang sila for the sake of capitalizing on the BL wave. So, sige, push na natin ng konti rin. There are establishments, one particular, shall I say, food conglomerate that there was an issue regarding casting and all of that. So how then, can we be accountable to ourselves, our work, to the community, in general. So I guess that's the context. But if you have your own context on it, feel free to share as well. Monday night. Hello, guys.
Monday night. So you have only 30 seconds to answer, and please start your answers with
I believe.
I believe that.
Or you can also, just to gain more time, you can also say, thank you for that wonderful question.
Good question.
I believe.
And end it with I thank you. Yung mga ganun.
Ang hirap naman po nito sagutin, lalo na hindi naman ako exactly nasa industry nung context of accountability ng
Or
Pero
yeah.
as a consumer.
As a consumer as well.
as a
Yeah,
consumer.
ganun na.
Paano ba? Ang hirap.
Hirap,
Kasi,
no?
ano po kasi, like, it's a slippery slope, you know, like, to answer for these things. I guess, ano ba? What was the question ulit?
Yeah, I think how do we handle accountability? Kasi it comes from kumbaga, it's like the irreverence a while ago, wherein we have a woke society now that we live in. Na anything could be a trigger, could be interpreted differently. So how do people own up to that? Especially na yung kanina, I think what Denise was saying a while ago, some of the creators are creating just to be irreverent, and that's it. And then some of them are not owning to it. Parang they're just saying, "No, I'm doing this for something else. No, I want to make a voice." But suddenly you hear that it's different.
I think I get now what you guys are saying. May nag-click sa utak ko na parang, okay, irreverent.
Yes,
Irreverent. I think I know what this is about now. Okay, I get it. Sorry, ang slow ko. Pero,
No.
Ayun, I guess, ano ba, ang hirap kasi sana alam niya na hindi niya ikina-edgelord yung paggawa ng content na gano'n.
I love it.
Hindi mo yan ikina-cool. Like, who the hell are you doing this for, man? Do people even watch your shit? Come on. And like, to begin with, like, who the fudge is funding you? Why are they allowing you to make content like this?
I was away peeing. Can someone clarify what's going on?
Direct nag-click na sa utak ko like yung irreverent question kanina. Like, I think I know what this is about now.
Oh,
Can
yes.
someone spill the tea secretly? Because
Yeah.
May 3-hour delay yata from my time zone. Pero, ayun nga, like, parang, I wish, like, these, like, some of these, I'm not saying all, but, like, I wish these, like, production houses or the other powers that be would stop enabling people to make content that can be potentially damaging to a whole marginalized group of people, because it's not, I don't see why there's no money here. Anong mapapala mo dito? Like, this is just like in irreverence for the sake of irreverence, like Miss Denise said, and I just don't get it, man. Like, why? why do you still have a job? Why are you still employed, man?
oh my god, wow.
Wow, strong words.
Am I allowed to
I
say
love
these
it.
things on here?
I love it. You
I'm
can.
saying this as a consumer of like this
Yes.
media, and also like as a concerned citizen.
I feel like if you guys let me know what the context is, then I'll be able to say something.
Who's gonna-
Sige, go.
Like if I said kanina that we need to support the creators that we like, don't support it. If you don't like it, if you don't agree with it, then don't support it. And be as loud in your non-support of it as you are your support of it. Let them know that you don't want this kind of content anymore and you're not going to support it. You're not gonna spend money for it. Let them know.
Express your dissent.
Stod ko na I'm
Actually,
not supporting you. Ganun siya. Hold
So
them
true.
accountable for that. And you know, if these creators say something na parang that is not okay, then hold them accountable for it. Demand it. Demand it of them. Na why did you say this? Diba? Ganun lang yun. Hold them accountable for, let them talk their walk. Walk their talk. Diba? Yun.
Yes.
Call them out. If something needs calling out, call that shit out. Yun.
Yeah. I think
yeah.
Miss Denise and Direk Pancho, tayo din, lalo na as creators, like, hindi tayo exempted sa rule na to. So, please,
Or
by all means,
that's very easy to say when you're on the other side of the thing.
yeah.
Why did
Yeah.
out? So, you know, parang it's always best to keep your nose clean.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Suminga ka.
Okay, kasi the humble pie, when that comes your way, that's
Yes.
I like that, and we're sort of like thinking about the accountability part in like different I don't know, at different places. But I like that we are coming together with a common understanding because you know the stuff is going down in the private chat. So I was thinking of it one way, and then Chambi, what you mentioned, it was a different, maybe different persona. Pero
Okay.
in
In
general, I
general,
would
it
say that
works.
we all agree,
Okay.
diba? Parang
Mhm.
whether
Okay.
you're a creator or a writer or a production house or a food conglomerate, if you do stuff that doesn't sit well with the community or does not represent the community or harms the community, you should be held accountable for it. So tama, call it out, let them know. And well, I think one of the things though that we need to work on is our attention span. Kasi what I
Yeah, definitely.
Yes,
Diba?
for
Kasi
sure.
what I've noticed is that here's an issue. And then people are all, you know, like, yeah, they tweet about it. They, alam mo yung binubungkal yung mga nangyari nung panahunan, and then, and then it dies down. And then another issue comes along, and that one is already forgotten. So I think that's the thing, eh? Parang one of the ways that we can hold people accountable is to make sure that they don't forget. The thing is, these people can be very smart, so they know how to work the system. They know it's going to blow over, so they issue sort of like a general statement or a general apology, etc., and then it all goes away. So yun, I think that's one of the things. That's why we wanted to bring it up, I guess, because we wanted to get your thoughts as well.
Oh well.
Sigh.
Sigh. Sigh.
That's
Sigh
the best
talaga.
summary ever. A very long sigh.
Ay. Pero that's ano eh, pero that's one of the things that we need to talk about, I feel eh, di ba? I
Mm.
mean, keep the conversation going. Kasi yun eh, parang super. Do you know that our attention span has gotten lower and lower and lower over the years? Like a goldfish has the attention span of 3 seconds, and sometimes people are less than that. Like 2 seconds, you're already distracted.
Yeah, because when the next big issue pops out na naman, biglang
Exactly. Very true. Ay. Okay, move on. Next topic.
Yun ay painitin yung ulo namin tatlo. Parang yun eh.
Sorry, I kind of like exploded nga kanina. Medyo na-agit ako nung nag-CR si Direk Pancho.
Hey, that's
I wasn't
okay.
sure if I'm allowed to do that here.
No, it's okay.
Fine. Si Denise na lang yung kailangan natin galitin. Kasi kanina ako rin.
What goes around comes around. Denise, go.
What was that? Sorry.
Wala naman. Sinabi lang ni Pancho na ikaw naman dapat yung next na gagalitin.
Ako yung
Siguro kasi nagalit na si Chambi, nagalit na si ano. Ako naman, I felt emotional na rin.
Okay. Yeah.
Pero
I am passionate about the same, and I felt Sambi kanina when I intuited.
Mhm.
Yes. Gusto ko yan.
Kung ano yung tinutukoy, and I agree kasi yun nga, same. Why are you allowed to do this? Who's funding you and all that? Yun nga for as long as people will watch the content that these creators are creating, magkakaroon, it's not gonna stop. They're gonna be there. So the thing here is, yun nga, stop watching. Stop watching crap.
Yes. Stop.
Although kasi
Yes.
yung gawa nila speaks to a very particular audience, the audience of the mga galit at ang daming gustong sabihin. Alam mo yun? I mean, like, tatanggapin ko kasi if like it's a hot button issue and you really stand by that issue, then I'm fine. That's your truth. You're speaking your truth, so fine with that. I mean, like, again, babalikan ko. I believe sex work shouldn't be frowned upon. Not everyone agrees with my statement. To some of you, but it's something that I believe in. Pero kung para lang to, get people riled up and talking, para lang magka-views ka, oh my God, pwede ba? Sorry ha. Parang, really walang mensahe na gustong iparating. Parang, feeling ko, bilang mga creator din kahit papana, I mean, it sounds pretty preachy, I know. Pero parang, may responsibilidad din naman tayo dun sa mga tumatangkilik sa mga nanonood sa audiences natin.
Right.
Na parang sana man lang when we tell stories or create things, aalis ako kahit paano na may takeaway, kahit katiting.
Yeah.
Yun lang naman yun eh. Na parang sana naman may value add. Di ba?
Right.
Dapat may sustansya.
Di ba? Pati ako ginagalit na rin ulit nila.
Pero that's the thing, di ba? Parang it's really what stories were meant to do eh. Parang there has to be a message. And the messaging should be, at the very least, informational, educational. Or at the most, it should be something that I hope inspires people to be better people. Alam mo yun? Kasi we have a lot of stuff happening in the world and we have creators who are trying their best to parang deliver great quality messaging. But then there are others who are just blowing that away, shooting that down. Alam mo yun, yung mga ganun. So sana mabawasan na sa sure.
Yeah, just waiting for the spillover for them to get into the Manila Bay and swamped over somewhere else. Mga ganun lang.
Take the Dolomite with you.
Yes.
Never mind. Siguro we can move to a lighter question from Kimo, can you phoneticize if it's Kimo or Chimo meets World?
Is it
What
Italian
TV series? Chimo. Oh, okay.
Chimo?
What TV series do you think would be more epic if the protagonist is part of the LGBT community? Oh.
Mm-hmm. So an existing TV series or past TV series, and we put a twist on it and put one of the protagonists as an LGBT member.
Uy, sorry, mauna na ako ha. Pero naisip ko movie, Fast and the Furious. If they were all like LGBT, like, yeah. I'm just saying. But that's me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We need more action movies with LGBT characters.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yes. For that, minus Provinciano, make Garda, make it Garda Dalisay, and I'll be happy.
Oh my God!
I remember didn't they have an episode na he was dressed up like naka-drag siya or something?
Oo. And sana yun na lang yung persona niya talaga the whole show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would
that
be
was
fun.
their like awakening na parang wow.
Wait, sorry,
Nakamukha
commercial lang.
na, no?
Correct. Sabi ni Simo. So it's Simo.
Simo.
Right? Simo. It's Inuit.
Simo.
Oh my God. Are you from Alaska? Or I'm not
Inuit.
sure where it is. Inuit, right? Alaska.
Mm.
Hi, Simo. Nice to meet you.
Tropical Manila.
Yeah, so
Oh, and Chimo makes the Wonder Comics. I think he did he does Wonder Comics.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's Filipino.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
He's part
Okay.
of the Twitter Kabaklaan Comics Cinematic Universe.
Okay. All right. Nice name. Hi. Yes, sorry,
Wala.
Direk, you were saying something.
No naman. Pero kung ako lang, like, mas TV, mas movie na pinag-uusapan namin to actually nila Gus nung Kalat Hours ng Saturday. Na parang, imagine kasi, I mean, it's so obvious that a gay man created Temptation Island. It's super gay.
Yes. Yes,
Oh my
yes,
God.
yes.
That epic scene on the beach.
If it was mga baklang pageantera, like sobrang
Oh,
sobrang
shit.
sa camp level, diba? And speaking of camp, don't you think a super queer dynasty would be really nice? Kasi sobrang
Oh,
Yes.
oh my God.
yung pangarap ko yun, gumawa ng super campy na queer show. Pero,
Go direct.
Go direct. I want that.
Dynasty. Pero Dynasty is already a bit, ano, diba? Because it's very soap opera-ish, diba?
like,
So,
yun,
if-
yung
make
level
it
ng,
gayer.
Make it
Like-
clear.
like you're playing with the tropes talaga ng mga soap opera. Pero BL ka,
Yeah.
diba?
Hmm.
Yes.
Oh my God, do any of you watch Why Women Kill?
I've seen an episode of it, but I've seen it. Ang ganda.
Like, sobrang ganda nun na parang queer stories naman. Basta check it out, Why Women Kill. Sobrang galing. The
it on the
second season is a slow burn, but it's pretty good. The first season galing. Kasi different
Oo.
time siya. Pero yung sampayan niya is it's all one house. Tapos the women that they're telling the stories of, iba-ibang decades tumira sa house na yun.
Oo.
Basta the whole premise is all of them, one way or the other, ended up killing their husbands.
Nice.
So yun yung point ng whole thing. Watch it, guys. Ang galing.
Yeah. I
Oh,
love
it's
yung Lucy Liu
Liu.
art nun. Yung Lucy Liu art niya was beautiful.
Basically,
Power.
I'm gonna look that up.
Uh-uh.
I'm gonna look that up. Is it on Netflix or no?
Is it on
No.
Netflix?
No, it's on Hulu.
Oh,
Okay.
Pero yung season 2, di ba, it's like Stepford Wives or Desperate Housewives turn into Why Women Kill. Parang ganun naging feel ko for season 2. Nun.
So si Denise, how about you?
And how did Denise?
I came across your question actually reminded me of a tweet I came across. I forgot which user who said it. Pero parang the premise was nagbigay siya ng premise like of a totally mainstream show but make it gay. So it's like everything feels fresher if you put a queer spin on it. So it can be like the most overused trope, like let's say vampires, but make it gay. You know, werewolf, but
Aswangs but make it gay.
Yes.
Yes.
when it,
Lagi
Pokemon, make it gay.
but make
like parang si I don't know Mikey and Lance kung nakikita nyo kasi with Stuck on You diba I'm working with a young writer si Meg parang so medyo ginaguide ko siya through the whole writing process. Tapos sabi niya, so how do you write your BLs direct? Tapos sabi ko, I write hetero but make it gay. Ganun lang yun. Diba? Make it gay. Ganun lang kami.
Because, by the end, it's really no different.
Exactly.
Yes.
Gawa
Exactly.
pero baklaan. Ganon.
True. We can be
Mas masaya
Simon
maging
Jambi.
bakla.
We can
Ano
be
po yun?
we can be heroes and villains of our own stories, just like heteros can.
Yeah. Pwede din tayo maging kontrabida, hindi lang bida, di ba?
Totoo. So,
Pero
kasi they already-
usually, sa media, ang mga villains are typically queer-coded.
Exactly.
Diba?
I mean, come on.
Yes.
Every single Disney villain.
Have you, di ba? All Disney villains are gay as fuck.
All of them
From
are
Jafar to
super
Ursula.
Oh my God.
Super
Ursula
super.
is the fact that
Based on
Ursula
Divine.
is based off of Divine.
Yeah.
Yes.
And come on, Star is your snarky gay uncle. Ganun lang
True.
yun.
Tayo's mag-uncle.
Oh
Diba?
my god. Was it Nor that spoke with who about it?
Hi, Nor.
Hades. Yes.
Hades.
I love Hades.
If you look
Oh
at
my
all the male Disney villains, they dress so well. And sorry, no straight guy dresses that well.
Exactly.
And we're not
And they
talking
all
about
have like,
metrosexual.
Even Gaston is gay.
Yeah, they all are. Come on, obviously.
Mask for mask gay.
I never thought of it that way. Oh my god,
Which,
guys.
which on the flip side, parang dahil queer-coded sila, medyo vinivillainize nyo ba yung queer characters? Like,
Yeah, correct.
Mhm.
diba?
There's that layer, no? Pero like, I think we've kind of reclaimed it na.
Yeah,
Like,
come on.
parang,
Yeah.
sige, kami kontrabida. We'll be the kontrabida.
Yeah, but then kasi yun yung memorable na character lagi. Yung
For
kontra.
sure. For sure.
Mm.
Ang
Mas
boring-boring ng buhay pag walang bakla.
Totoo.
And
Yes.
that's, at saka pag alimango, mas masarap ang bakla. Anyways, Ursula. Ursula. Yes. I love that. Ayan. So, I think that we've reached, or we've basically done all of the banners.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, I think we just have two questions na lang left. Like, one would be, how do you hope to parang what was the question again? Sorry. First of them was like, what legacy? We asked it to direct last time. Parang what legacy do you want to leave for this now generation and for the future as well? And the second would be, I think it came from you, Mikey. And how can we make things better now and for the queer media? Like, what advice could you give for the future generation as well?
Wow. Ito.
Wow.
Oh, pang Miss Universe ulit po, pang Monday BBS to.
Medyo heavy burden sa atin yung tanong.
And then we have another question after that. Na mas light.
Oh, si Mikey na bahala doon. And who wants to go first? It's about legacy, message, and advice.
Siguro si Miss Denise.
Oo.
Okay. Break down natin. Okay, so the first part was legacy, right? Legacy, and then what was the second one before advice? Legacy, something,
Message.
and message. Okay, legacy. My hope for the legacy that I leave behind. Ang lofty kasi, parang alam mo yan, when you're thinking about it, in truth,
Mm.
I'm starting out. So parang when you're thinking kasi parang ang dami ko pang dapat steps na i-take. But anyway, I want to leave a legacy of stories that make the reader or the audience feel validated about who they are. That they can be lovable just the way they are. That they have contributions just the way they are. So, in whatever work that I hope pa to make, I hope na kay horror man yan, kay romance, or any other genre, I hope that the core message will remain that. And to always write stories of hope. So, it's always hope. Kaya nga happy ever after eh. Parang we already have too many stories that celebrate pain and loss. And of course, yes, there's room for that, but also leave room for the joy and the happy ever afters. Kasi that's what makes your life worth living, diba? That's why we get up every morning. It's that hope. So that's legacy. Message is it's still tied back to that. Na parang message. It's still there. Parang you're valid. You are. I've said this before in other interviews that I've been invited on. You're valid. You're a human being. You have a contribution to make. You are expected to participate in the world that you move around. The world will be so much better if you are your authentic self, sharing that what makes you you. Ang lalim na ba? Pero parang that's the message I want to give. And yung advice is to young writers, young creators, keep going. I've also said that before. Keep going, but also take the time to watch everything. Watch everything that is available to you and always view it with a critical eye. There's a lot of crap out there, but you have to go sharpen your critical skills. You have to know how to cut the wheat from the chaff. Kumbaga parang ganun. Expose to everything that's out there so that you know how to tell what's good, what's bad, what's harmful and what's not. And when you know that, once you have that knowledge, then you have the responsibility to create more of the good stuff. Para mawala na yung mga bad stuff na yan. Yon, that is my hope and advice for any young creator who is thinking about doing this. Yun. Yun.
Nice. Thank you. Agree so much. Thank you very much. Who's next?
Oh, Chambi, you're next.
Natatakot, kinakabahan yung message.
Oh, shucks. Legacy. Medyo na-war siya ako sa question na yun kasi Miss Denise, kakasimula ko lang din. Hindi ko pa yan iniisip masyado kasi kakasimula ko pa lang. I've barely lifted off the ground. Pero, ayun, legacy, I guess, I hope that I can be remembered, or kahit hindi ako, I hope that the stories that I write, I make, will leave like this feeling na you are worthy of love. Like, no matter who or what you are, kahit aswang ka pa or whatever, you are worthy of love as long as you don't like shit on people. Like, actually, even then, even if you do like shit on people, like not literally but figuratively, like oh my god, where is this going?
There's a word for that. Let's not get into it.
Oh god. So ayun, like we are all worthy of love, and kaya like my story is essentially like a romance. Kasi ayun nga, like no one person can live by themselves, no matter how much you think na independent ka, or like you don't need no man, woman, or anything in between. Like, you need love. We all need love. Kahit hindi man yan romantic or whatever. We all need love. And I hope that's, my stories can be a reminder of that, na parang you don't have to go through all of this on your own. Na meron kang katuwang palagi. Like, there's always friends, family, loved ones, or a community behind you to support you and love you. So, ayun, I guess yun na rin yung message ko. Nagtayan na rin siya sa legacy, na parang yun yung gusto kong malaman nung lahat ng mga readers ko, na you are worthy of love and you don't have to go through it alone. And I guess yung advice ko na rin for the future gen of young creators, I know how hard it is to start. Like, that's probably like the most difficult thing, or like phase whenever you're making something. You're always gonna look at your work, you're always gonna second guess yourself and like look at your work kahit hindi pa siya tapos, na parang this is shit, this might not be worth finishing. So I'm telling you to just like try your hardest, na isantabi mo muna lahat ng mga thoughts na yon and just write or draw or whatever it is that you want to do, just create. And then once you're done, you can look back and have the right to judge your own work. But even then, don't be so hard on yourself. Kasi, as long as you're doing it from the heart, I don't think it's gonna be as bad as you think it is. So, ayun.
Nice. Thank you. Very encouraging. Direct Pancho.
In terms of legacy, I mean, I'm bago lang din naman ako, guys. So I've actually, when it comes to directing, I've only directed 2 things. I've written a few, but then I still stand by what I said in a previous interview. Na last year, quarantines pa lang yata yun. Na parang as long as just one person was helped by any single part of any story that I create, whether it's politically or through yung social commentaries or even an emotional connection, and leaves with the knowledge and is able to start a conversation, then go. You don't even have to like what I make, as long as a certain part of it lang, kahit a small part, touched you in a certain way, then that's enough of a legacy for me. And that's why I do what I do. Message, I guess, sobrang cliche, but guys, come on. Baklaan ito. So love is love is love is love. Period. And
Yes.
you just need to remember that you're never alone, definitely. There are many people out there who you're walking past or walking past you day after day that would actually want to love and help you. So, but sometimes many people don't know how to help. So,
Mm,
clear in your head what you really want to say and then speak your truth. Um, because people may think they know who you are, but sometimes it isn't who you really are. So you're so much more than you even know. So yun lang. Yak ang lalim. Advice. When it comes to young creators out there, um, for me, I believe like above all things when creating, um, number one sa lahat, dapat may puso. Kung gusto mong magkwento, kung gusto mong gumawa, lumikha, puso yung gamitin mo. Kasi kung ginagawa mo ng may pagmamahal, yun yung importante at yun yung tama. Basta mahal mo yung ginagawa mo, tama yun. Period.
amen.
Period.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. Hi. I really like that we had this conversation. I'm really happy that we had this conversation. First time we're meeting Denise and Zambi. We've met Direct Angel. This is the second time we're doing a discussion with him. And we're really happy that you guys were able. You're here. You brought your authentic selves. And I know Zambi medyo finilter niyo yung sarili niya.
Talagay na yun.
Sa lagay na yun. Mukhang nag-filter pa rin naman siya. But I appreciate that you said what you said, and for all of those who are listening to us, hopefully you learned something, you picked up something, and hopefully it resonated with you, and hopefully you felt validated as well. Ayan. So siguro we want to know as well anything you want to announce, like future projects or maybe something we should look forward to. You can
Mag-announce.
kung
So.
pwe- kung pwede.
Pwede.
Kung pwede. Kung ano
Parang-
siya, confidential, okay lang kahit hindi.
Parang hindi yata. Parang ano na lang. Abangan nyo na lang. Yun na lang. But yeah, I guess yung mapaplug ko lang ngayon is we're at 95.6k views on PenLab. And that's only like within the 2 months of our release sa PenLab. So hopefully we can get to like 100k soon-ish. And then maybe like there's gonna be like a special announcement or whatever after that. But I don't know. I'm not sure. Who
Is
said
there
that?
gonna
I
be
don't know.
is there gonna be like a victory live when you reach 100k? Ganun ba?
Oh, man. Magpapafiesta ako. Char.
Sige ba? Sige. O imbitahin mo kami. Char.
Yes.
Ano lang, kanya-kanyang Char.
Virtual
Bring your own-
fiesta ito.
Correct. Bring your own lechon and pancit.
Hindi. Pero ayun lang, hope you continue to support ang jowa kong Crosswise. Because we've only just begun. Marami pang mangyayari in the future.
Support natin na maging live action or animated series siya.
Yes.
Yes.
Help me
Yes.
make some noise. Help me appeal to the powers that be.
Sa mga may nakakilala sa Netflix, guys, try natin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oo.
Why not?
Tagda si Jay Oliva, sino mga ganun, sino pa ba?
OMG. Sana nga, sana. Ayun. Thank you, guys.
Where can people follow you or hit you up?
You can follow me on my Twitter. I'm usually active there at Chambolero. And you can also follow me on Instagram, also at Chambolero. And I also have a Facebook page, Chambolero. So, yeah.
I love
follow
the
me there.
consistency.
Para madali.
Oo, di ba?
Ayun.
All right, thank you. Direct?
Me, you can follow, well, mas importante syempre yung Ride or Die, no? Subscribe to Ride or Die on YouTube. YouTube na lang, huwag yun napansin yung ibang socials ng Ride or Die. Shout out. Kasi wala sa ibang socials ng Ride or Die. So yung YouTube na lang, subscribe kayo. Tapos sa Facebook, follow the page for updates. Twitter, I think it's ROD Initiative. and on
Yes.
Instagram. I think.
Yes.
And then me, you can follow me if you want. Pancho Maniquis on Twitter, Instagram, and add me on Facebook if you want. Let's be friends or find me a jowa.
Yes!
Yes.
Hashtag find me a jowa. Ipatrend natin yan.
Send your
Any
resume.
upcoming, right, mag-apply kayo. Any upcoming projects, Brek?
For Ride or Die mismo, I hope it finally happens because we've been talking about it since January. But we're hoping to start
Ooh.
Quarantine Season 2.
Yes.
The script's ready. All the actors are ready. We're just aligning schedules and everything. So it's been ready. Talaga.
Yves is also ready. He's been pushing him.
We're stuck on new Season 2. So hopefully it does well enough because he really wants to do one. And he also wants part of Quarantines 2. Sabi ko, wag na.
Oo nga. Well, kung pwedeng truffle daw. Truffle between Kyo and Yves. But anyways, we'll see. We'll see. Looking forward to that. Thank you. And Miss Denise.
For me, if the all 6 episodes of Boys Lockdown are still available to view on YouTube, just go to Ticket to Me's official channel on YouTube, and there's a playlist there for Boys Lockdown episodes 1 to 6. So if you haven't seen it, I hope you can give the show a chance. If you have seen it, it doesn't hurt us to rewatch the show. So it's still there.
Yeah.
While you wait for Love Team to be developed, so we are cooking up a new story featuring some of the faces that you have come to recognize and love very soon, sometime in this lifetime. But it's coming. I have no timeline for it, but rest assured we are working on it. For my other works, you can check out print editions of my young adult novella called Flipping the Script. It's available on romanceclassbooks.com, as well as the anthology, our LGBTQIA plus short story anthology called Start Here. So I have a story included there along with romance author. So check it out. There's a lot of good stuff also on romanceclassbooks.com. So
Pasok sa akin yung young adult. Sige nga.
yeah. And then
Yes.
on social media, I only have Twitter. It's at Denise May P Season. So follow me, but I am so sorry if you're following me for Love Team content, as I am a notoriously slow writer. There's just stuff and brain that I am obsessed with. Oh, there.
We're here for the brain farts, really.
Mhm.
I mean, I have a few of those myself. So thank you very much,
Pwede po
everyone.
mag-shout out. Kasi
Yes, go ahead.
papatayin ako ng mga neto kapag hindi ko sila shinout out.
Laban.
Okay, so shout out sa pamilya ko. Hi kung nanonood kayo. Bakit kayo nanonood dito siya?
I see them all in the chat.
Shout out sa sa friends, shout out sa WA, shout out sa Squad, shout out sa Celdetres, shout out sa Lornas, shout out sa Chambengs, Cham host. I'm sorry. Shout out sa inyong lahat. Hi, mga Twitter friends. Hello from our Twitter. Hi. Kung nanonood kayo, salamat.
Shoutout mo na rin to. Close friend namin yan.
Hi, shout out po kay Sir Nico. Hello.
Sir Nico!
Sir Nico! Oh my God!
Nico lang.
I'm sorry, I don't know everybody's ages.
Ayan, thank you so much.
So, yeah.
Alright.
Thank you.
Oh, Idea Second talaga is here to support all the way.
Mhm.
Love you, Idea Second.
Yes. So, iba talaga yung mga kaganapan, pag sa mundo natin, Char. Minsan mabilis. Ayan, so,
guys, shoutout lang din ako sa quarantine at mga cashew na nandito.
Oh, yes!
Oo, sa mga cashews.
Hi,
Hi.
cashews.
Quarantine, hello. Pati yung sister ko nandyan kanina pa, nag-chat siya sa akin, nandyan pala si jowa kong crosswise.
Ayan.
Hello po.
Mukhang mabenta tayo tonight because of Chambi, ano? Salamat,
Oo.
Chambi, sa pagpunta
Thank you,
talaga.
Chambi.
Salamat
for
sa
having me.
sister ko nang nag-live ako. No? Kasi parang hindi naman.
Cashew represent, according to Jude. Yes. Ayan. So, Lance, final, closing ba? Go, Chambi. Hi.
Closing na, parang ano ba? What else would I have to say? So thank you for joining us on our series on Speak Room. And you have really presented what the present look on queer content and media is like for the Philippines. And we love it. We love the words from cut the crap to take the shit and all that stuff. And all the bitchy energy, the attitude. I love it. I love the tea and the shade and all of it, all its flavor. Thank you so much. So
I think this is
I want.
our liveliest speak room, I think.
Oh, it is one of the liveliest speak room, and I do hope the next, because after this we're gonna be having another speak room that's on July 12th. It's gonna be from the future generation naman. So we have Alan Gonzaga, our close friend who's a digital artist. We also have Mikey Alonzo, a trans global contender, and we also have JM Pagian, a student debater, to be our panel for July 12th. So I hope you guys
Yes.
also join us there.
Right. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. And for me personally, thank you talaga, Chambi and Direk Pancho and Miss Denise. I really appreciate your thoughts. I learned a lot today. So I also found out a lot today. So I really, really appreciate you joining us. Hopefully, hindi to yung last, no? Hopefully, we'll get to talk to each other again soon. Maybe for another speak room or maybe for other things as well. Yun. So, just like what they said, no, siguro, I want to reiterate some of the highlights that you are loved talaga. And no matter what the world says about you or no matter what the world might want you to believe, you are valid. And as long as you are authentic and true to yourself, you can be whatever you want to be. You can be a villain, you can be a hero of your own story, and you can create. It might not seem like the best thing in the beginning, but then you learn as you go along, diba? So just keep on creating if you want to, and just keep on living, diba? So that's it for me. And let's go ahead and take a photo before I forget. Oh my God.
Yes.
Kasi minsan nakakalimutan eh. I'll just pull up my thingamajiggy here. Ayan. So, sandali lang guys. Baka mangawit kayo.
Pala.
Oo nga pala, I forgot this is Mikey, not Nico, so okay.
Well, I'm technologically challenged and my laptop is also kind of Jurassic. So, 3, 2, 1, smile. Alrighty, I got that. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Come on, guys.
So I followed you guys on social media, and please, everyone in the chat, follow them as well. Even if you already follow them, thank you so much for that, and thank you as well for spending your time with us. We hope that we were able to answer some of your questions, and hopefully keep on supporting these great artists, diba? So use the pink money, use your discernment as well to make sure that we only support quality and appropriate content. So that is it for us. We really appreciate you spending time with us. And again, this is Mikey, this is Lance over here, and then we have Denise, Pancho, and Sambolero saying good night, everyone. Happy Monday, and see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.